Anyway, it was fun. But thanks. So thank you for being here. Absolutely. So that's kind of why we're here, is to share with that. Me, when we go to the different schools to try to encourage students and uplift them and give them hope, essentially, that there is a right way to do things. At least there's many right ways to do things. One way is to do things like model like a lot of us have done them. Our type of practice is lots of kids, lots of families. We do take insurance, but we're focused on cash practice. I'm sure if you saw some of the stuff we post on Facebook. Just seeing as many people as possible as we can, because we believe that God gave you these two hands, that you should use them as much as possible, right? And obviously in that being profitable and successful and having proper business systems so you don't burn out and get stressed out, so you can actually have balance. And hey, if you have kids and family, you want to enjoy that too. You don't want to just work all the time, right? So it's providing that proper balance, and that's what our mission here is all about. So me, I've been in practice for 15 years. So here's the challenge. When you meet someone that's been in practice 15, 16 years, almost 16 years, it could be like, it kind of gets less relevant, right? Go see some of the gray, right? I'll be 40 years old this year. So the launch events, what we do, our goal is to actually bring doctors, these guys are going to get to speak, that have been out 6 months, a year, 2, 3 years, who are literally sitting in seats just like y'all, that not that long ago, just got done Part 4, just graduated, just started practice. Makes it more relevant. Have you ever been to hear someone speak that's been in practice like 30 years, right? And it's amazing, right? But then they start to tell stories about their practice back in the 1980s. It's totally cool to hear that. Like the chiropractic stories and testimonies and miracles all happen. Healthcare culture and a lot of things have changed in 20, and they've changed a lot in 5 years. I mean, the last 5 years, things have radically changed. So, enough about myself. I want to introduce these guys. So, I practice in Atlanta, Georgia. I've talked to Randy on the phone a couple of times, right? Myself, my wife is a chiropractor. We have 2 lovely kids. We've been in. Anybody from Atlanta here, Georgia? Anybody know? Anybody been to the Atlanta airport before? Atlanta airport? Okay, good. My practice is about 15 minutes from there. About 15 minutes away from the Atlanta airport. And so we practice there. The family practice has been there. We've been there 15 years. Myself, my wife, and a place called Stockbridge, Georgia. It's about 20 minutes, 30 minutes outside the city. It's basically normal suburbia. And we see kids, we see families. We'll share some pictures tonight in a few minutes here. That's what we do. It's a fun practice. It's not everything we want it to be. Why is that? Well, I believe that we can do better. And the truth is, not everything's rainbows and butterflies in practice. It's just not. But we do know that we make it as great as we can be by helping as many people as possible, families, kids, this kind of thing. I mean, if anybody ever tells you, it's like, they paint this perfect picture of practice. There are some amazing pictures, but there's no perfect picture. I also want to tell you that, it's a lot of work too. Sometimes they paint pictures that it's just easy peasy, you just put your shingle out and you do it. It can be challenging to be in, right? And that's what I want to let you know. So tonight, we're going to share some stuff about pediatrics. We're going to share about cash practice a little bit. We're going to share about communicating chiropractic. We're going to take some question and answer. Tonight, we're also going to start. We're going to move the board here. There's a whiteboard back here. We're going to start to break down some of the things, especially if you're 5th, 6th try and beyond. Any try, but 5th, 6th try and beyond, you're starting to think about practice a little bit. Budget-wise, monetarily, what it actually takes to open a practice. Talk about, hopefully, open up some things that you didn't know you didn't know, right? And tomorrow morning, we're going to come back. We're going to do a lot of business stuff. We're going to talk about we're going to present an equation tonight, an equation in chiropractic that we believe if you follow this equation, you'd be absolutely successful. It's a very easy equation. We're going to kind of break it down tonight and help make sense of a very complex and complicated situation in chiropractic school. And I'm excited to do that. I'm excited to be part of that. I'm excited that we're here to, give to you guys freely and just help you out, because this is what I know. I know that if we can create students that graduate successful, right? This is what launch is all about. If we can find students who want to be successful, who want to change communities, who want to help as many people possible chiropractically, then we know that we can actually create critical mass in chiropractic. Critical mass in chiropractic means actually there's a lot of people actually seeing chiropractors on a regular basis. You may not know this, but the recent statistics is that about 2 to 3% of people, 2 to 3% of Americans actually see chiropractors on a regular basis. You don't know that? 2 to 3%? It actually keeps falling. When I started chiropractic school in 1995, 94, they actually said it was 10% of people saw chiropractic on a regular basis. So it's actually been dropping, unfortunately. There's lots of different reasons for that, but we want to present tonight about how you in your own community can be a community changer through chiropractic and heal here. So without further ado, I want to introduce Dr. Eric Brower. Dr. Brower is actually local to here, 4 hours away. Fairly local, more than I am, you know. And come on, Doc. I'm sure you're some. I'll tell you about Dr. Brower. Dr. Brower, actually, we met in chiropractic school, meaning that I was. He shut up my office, and you were invited by this guy over here, this bearded guy. Looks like he's just walked out of the mountains. Grizzly bear. We call him Grizzly. So you don't. Tonight. I don't even watch Duck Dynasty. What's the guy called Duck Dynasty?
That's so played out.
So here's Eric's wife and Lincoln. Here's the Linkster. Come on up, Lincoln.
This is Lincoln.
Eric's
wife.
Isn't he cute? Fun to work out with. So, and I want Eric to tell a story a little bit. Eric has a great story because he has both sides of the spectrum.
Yeah.
And I know Eric. I know it's like, who's this guy in practice? And you know, because I'm about 45 minutes from Life University, Life College down there, so we're close enough that people can come. Kind of like Dr. Brian is here. He's close enough. Dr. Brian, how far are you from school? About an hour. So about 45, 50 minutes. About the same thing like Dr. Brian's at NYCC. So the cool thing is that students would come down, and they still do. I mean, we have typically at least 1 to 2 students in our office every day. You know, coming down, making the drive, and they hang out at the office. You know, just watch and just kind of get plugged in. You know, just like anything. If you want to, you know, learn how to fix bicycles and stuff, what you do is you go to the bike shop and you watch them do it. You know what I mean? So same thing. So Eric started showing up, and it was like, who is this guy, right? And Michael vouched for him, and you know, he just stuck around, and the rest is history. And just how Eric just hit 3 years of practice, right? And it was in first year, man, it was tough, right? It was challenging, it was struggling up here in New York. He came back to his home turf as a New York truck. No,
Ulster County, a little bit more.
Yeah. Right. Yeah. So Eric's committee, and it was like, man, we just didn't know what to expect from this guy, but you know, discipline. You never meet a more disciplined guy than Dr. Eric Brower. You'll never meet a better looking guy than him potentially either.
And, you're comparing me to him.
Is there any spouses here tonight? Male or female? We met again. Okay, she's back here, I know. So here's the deal with that, is that whether it's a male spouse, whether you're female DC and the male, because we have a lot of people that we know, some dear friends of mine where the females are the doctor, and actually 2 dear friends of mine, and the male is the office manager. They're running the, you know, they help run the office, so it's not, you know, goes both ways. But anyway, in Dana's case, Dana was a huge skeptic. So if you have a girlfriend, a boyfriend, a spouse, or whatever, and they're kind of like leery about chiropractic, Dana was probably one of the most skeptical people I ever known about chiropractic.
Yeah. But New York, Long Island.
Long Island. I mean, you know,
tough.
there you go.
Tough girl.
So, Eric.
Yeah, thanks. He's the older guy, so we gotta get him down. He might get a little tired. But I do thank you guys for having us up here. You know, we're about 4.5 hours away. We're in Newburgh, New York, right off the New York City Freeway. You guys are welcome anytime in our office. We left about 2 weeks ago to get up here because my wife decided she wanted to drive, so it took a little bit longer to get up here. Crickets, huh? But so I started in school, and I went to the SUNY system. I went to SUNY Oswego. Any other SUNY people here? Couple. Cool. So I went to SUNY Oswego, and you know, I was wrestling, and I was on the wrestling team there, and grades really weren't the most important thing for me a lot of times. Having a lot of fun, enjoying being an undergrad. And then I realized I wanted to be a chiropractor, and a light bulb went off in my head. I loved chiropractic from that point forward once I realized what chiropractic was. And I committed myself to chiropractic. But I had all this baggage with me of not being a good student, so that kind of carried with me. So when I got into chiropractic school, my primary intent was just really not to flunk out of school. It was like, I gotta pass. I can't go home with my tail between my leg. You know, it was all about school and grades, and that was it. So first we do quarter systems. There was the first quarter. Started getting these really good grades, and I was applying myself, and I was working really hard. And so I started getting really into it. I said, well, I never want to see another. You know, I don't want any C's. I only want A's and B's. And I started. Only thing I was going for was good grades. And then next thing I know, all I was focusing on was really my training, which I was doing CrossFit and Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu at the time, and just the schoolwork. And that was it. I would just lock my. I didn't have a smartphone. I didn't have internet or cable in my apartment. I would just literally just stay in on weekends, and I'd study and I'd work out. And that was like my lifestyle. I was like a machine on that. And then I realized I probably had 2 quarters left, 2 or 3 quarters left, and I said, I didn't prepare at all for what I'm going to do next step. I didn't prepare at all. And just like I knew I wanted to be a chiropractor at one point, that same feeling came over me like a ton of bricks. Like I'm getting tingles right now because I remember that feeling, and I was like, oh my goodness, I have no idea what the next step is. I know I didn't want to associate with someone. You know, I knew I kind of wanted to do my own thing right from the start, but I had no idea what. I had no idea what I knew and what I didn't know. So I said, well, I need some mentors right now. So I'm thinking, like, who can be my mentor? Who's going to train me? Who's going to teach me? And so I just started looking into my quarter because there's a group of guys that were doing big things. You know, they're leading clubs. You know, at Life University, we're really fortunate to have a ton of clubs and just places where people have different outlets for techniques, all sorts of techniques and clubs. And this club was really about just a successful practice, having successful practice. So I started hanging with these guys. And that's really where I met this guy here, Dr. Michael Israeli. And he had been a little bit behind me. He's going to share his story. I started getting plugged with him, and I said, we were sort of buddies. You know, like you guys all know each other through school. We were sort of buddies. But I just started calling, what are you doing this weekend? He said, well, I'm going to help this doc. I'm going to go screen here. We're going to go give a talk here. I said, I'm coming with you. No matter what he was doing, I said, I'm going with you, and I'm going to learn from you. So it was really hard for me. Now, some people can just get up and just naturally talk in front of people. Some people can get up and naturally, you know, just communicate chiropractic. I couldn't do any of that. In fact, I would say it was my biggest fear was public speaking. My biggest fear was really coming out of my shell and communicating with people. So I had a lot to overcome. And I had to learn chiropractic because all I was learning was the science in school, but I really wasn't learning about the philosophy of chiropractic. So I had a lot to overcome. That led me to Dr. Hess's office, and then I had an opportunity we had an internship program there. And so I had an opportunity to intern there. And I loved that style of practice. Because I got so involved so late that I didn't even know him, we had 2 quarters where we can intern. The first quarter was at a very medical-based chiropractic office. They actually had me wearing scrubs. They had me, you know, the different roller massage things and electrodes, and really it was really like physical therapy and a little bit of chiropractic. And the chiropractic was not specific. It really was. There was no philosophy behind it. It was just over-adjusting people and really setting them on their way. And it was mostly really a lot to make money is what it was all about. And billing insurance companies through auto accidents or something along those lines. And probably spending an hour in that office felt like 4 hours. It wasn't for me. Now maybe that is for some people if you're into that sort of practice, but that was not for me. I hated I cringed it. I cringed being in there every single day. I did not like it at all. And I didn't really love the doc either, obviously. Next quarter, I started peeking at his office. We call it our pre-program. And it literally changed my life. I saw an office that sees thousands of people a week. And I saw lives being changed. And when I thought of practices like that, when I was in school, you know, being very skeptical of certain things, I thought it was I just couldn't imagine it being a happy place. You know, you just think of like a meat market or cattle. But I just saw happy practice members. I saw a well-trained team. I saw, you know, business sense and business models. But what really sold me was I just saw the testimonies. You know, Dr. Jeremy, he just has these drawers from here to here, and he just starts pulling these drawers out, and it's really from A to Z on every condition, symptom, and disease that you could ever think of. Just somebody getting well through specific chiropractic care. And I'm like, I'm hooked. This is the kind of practice I want. Start going all across the country because the last place anybody from New York, you know, we don't want to go back to New York. I said, I'm never going back to New York. Who I was dating, my now-to-be wife at that time. So we're not going to go back to New York. We're looking at South Florida. We were looking at California.
That's not who you're with.
No, yeah. No, you're right. Oh, so we're traveling the country. Nothing's, you know, we're liking places, but it's like it just doesn't feel like home. It just doesn't feel like home. So we're spending all this money and time traveling. Didn't feel like home. All the while, we're still sewing into, you know, our future and learning business sense and getting into these clubs and communicating and doing things on weekends to better ourselves. Needless to say, we tried everywhere else. We said, well, we checked everything off the list. We're going to go back to New York. So we picked a spot. And really from there, you know, since I got in the game a little bit late, you know, 3 quarters from graduation, the first year was tough. We didn't have programs like like that have been developed now for students. And really, I didn't know about negotiating leases. I didn't know about office build out. I didn't know about office design. I didn't know about training a team. I didn't have a chiropractic talk prepared. I knew a few things, and I was good at those few things, thank goodness, like screenings and certain marketing. But I didn't know when to do it, how to do it, how to do a grand opening or ribbon cutting. I knew none of those things. Not to mention negotiating leases, like I said, getting in insurance networks. There's a lot of things to get into. Getting loans, talking with bankers and lawyers. There's a lot. Insurance companies. So the list goes on and on and on. I didn't know any of those things, so the first year was really rough. Luckily, we had a hard work ethic, and the little bit that we did know, we just kept growing. And after, we're 3.5 years in our practice now, and we're, on average, we're serving 900 practice members a week. And that's just our mission. Now, not everybody here wants to see a lot of people. You can have the practice of your dreams, but if you apply what we say and what we're going to go through tonight, you can be the best versions of yourself. Whether it is having a practice that is different than ours or not. This guy's got a little bit different story than mine. Way bigger screw up than me, but he's turned it around. This guy, Dr. Michael's one of my best friends. One of them. I guess he was my best man, so I guess he's my best friend. And he taught me a lot, and he's trained up a lot of chiropractors across the country to similar things like that he did for me, and just raised me up to do what I've done. He's done awesome things since opening in Colorado, but it all came, all the success he had, it came from being rock bottom for a while. You want to share that?
Sure. Thanks, bud. Yeah. So my name is Michael Viscarelli. I practice in Golden, Colorado, which is right outside Denver. A lot of people know of it because, of course, brewing companies there. A lot of drinkers up here in New York, so I understand. Really a lot of lushes. I mean, I haven't really met somebody that hasn't been wasted since I've been here. But I can smell it in this room. I don't blame you if I was going to listen to speak. I'd probably get a good buzz going too. So I am from Maine originally. So you're like just raising freaking. Freaking just enough for me. Now you know that when you go and you're supposed to have enough to share with everybody. I'm from Maine, so I love the Northeast, man. I love it. It's in my DNA. My mom and dad are still in Maine, and so when I go to Newburgh, it's one of my favorite places. We vacation everywhere with all of our friends. But when I come up to Newburgh, I absolutely love it because just the construction is very similar, the mentality is very similar. Dunkin' Donuts is all four corners at every intersection. It's like mother's milk to all of us, and so it's just very comfortable for me. So I love coming up here. But I live in Colorado, so I did my grad work at Life University in Atlanta, Georgia. I was much more of an intellectual athlete. I played ice hockey. I wasn't a wrestler. Deeper thinkers were a little more agile, much better in bed. There's just a lot of things. There's levels to all of this. So I am much better in bed. So I'm just teasing. I'll show you. So, what was I talking about? What am I supposed to be doing? So, we did our grad work at Life University in Atlanta, Georgia. I absolutely loved it. And I love it looking back, right? Sometimes when you're in the storm or you're in the process, it's really freaking hard to focus on the product. But it's, you look back and you're like grateful for the experience. I'm going to share a little bit about my experience. But my wife, I met her in Atlanta, Georgia. She's from there. And she comes from an entrepreneurial background. Her mom and dad are both phenomenal artists. They turned their talent, their skills, into a highly successful furniture design and manufacturing company that's American-made and built in North Georgia. And so I came from, she came from a family that knows how to work hard, understands sacrifice to build something that's worth having. She understands being selfless because there's sacrifice to work hard, but then there's like selfless to pursue maybe a vision that may not just be completely yours. And so she's an amazing woman. She started courting me when I was in school, and I was taking a lot of applications at that time, and so we promoted her to the front of the line, and she won the title. So we're married today. She's almost 8 months pregnant, and with our first child. And so we're really excited. She typically, like Dana and Amanda, our wives are always with us. They go everywhere. But we just purchased a home and we're trying to move into it. And she's been working really, really hard. So I left her back home. And we're in Logan next weekend. So it's like, it's just weekend after weekend we're on the road. And so she deserves a break. So when I was in school, I'd never failed at anything in my life. Not one thing. I grew up playing ice hockey. That's a fact. And ice hockey in the Northeast is a big deal. I never knew a wrestler in my life. It's because it's like a hobby role for them. Hockey players wrestle like with dudes in the hotel rooms just to scrap and keep your game sharp. But it wasn't really a true sport in Maine, right? It was hockey. It's supposed to be a joke. But it's true. That's why they didn't laugh, because they knew it was true. So I was a Division I college hockey player. I won, 3 national championships in the course of my years playing ice hockey. It was my life, right? My dad used to lie about my age when I was a child so that I could play at higher levels so that I could improve. He's like, Michael, you rise to the level which you surround yourself, right? So he used to lie about my age. I remember when I'm 12 years old. He brought me to, and it's interesting that I was thinking about naming my son this if it is a boy, which I'm speaking into an existence, because I think it'd be cool to have another version of me. So we don't know what we're having, and we just know that he's probably going to be a lot cooler than Lincoln. Which is Lincoln's like my little boy, man. I was so excited to get up here, and he's like, "Oh, we're gonna get to the hotel. David's gonna get set." I was like, "No, you're gonna meet me. I want to see Lincoln. I love that little guy." So my dad lied when I was 12 years old, told this coach at 16, took me to like Southern New Hampshire trial for this team. I mean, in my mind, I'm like that little chihuahua in a fight, but I'm like, I was little, you know what I mean? So I'm little now, and I was little then, and so for him to lie, I'm like 16, I'm like out there, the jerseys that they gave us were like billowing over my hands. I mean, it's like, I can't believe it, but I was 12, trying for a 16 to 18-year-old team. And I'll never forget it. I'm like, yeah, this is going to be so cool, and he's the only dad in the stands because I couldn't drive. Everyone else could drive, right? And so I'm at this tryout, and it's just an unbelievable experience. And I remember that I was in the corner, and I got hit. And I kind of like pushed back a little bit, but the guy's much bigger, so I pushed back that much. And he gets hit, like another one of my players comes in and hits him. And this big guy named Bear says, if you ever tussle a guy named Bear, you probably just shoot back. So he says to him, he goes, you want to go? To the guy that was on my team. And he goes, yeah, I do. I never experienced that in my life. I'm like, yeah, I do. And then he's like, skate away, you know what I mean? Like, you better not mess with me. Like the best shots you can. He goes, yeah, I do. And they skated center ice, and they just took off their helmet, they set their gloves down, they rolled up their sleeves, and they fought at center ice. Like, that's like just, I'd never experienced that in my life. So I learned to either step up my game or shut my mouth, right? And I remember my dad knew that I couldn't really step up my game, so when I looked up in the stands, he was like this, like, shut your mouth. do not say do you want to go, because they will, right? So my dad used to lie about my age for me to be surrounded around people that were better than me so I could step up my game. And so when I went to Life University, I think inside my spirit, and anyone agree with me if this happened to you, that you didn't really maybe believe inside yourself that you could do it, right? Like maybe like, I was a good athlete, but I wasn't a great student. You know what I mean? And so I knew that I was going to get opportunities to do things that maybe I wouldn't have had that opportunity otherwise if I wasn't a good hockey player. Okay? So like there were schools that I got accepted to that they were going to use what's called their gift, which means that every 4 years they get to have an athlete on their team that maybe did not qualify academically, but they definitely qualified athletically. And so they're going to gift me into the program. And so I had multiple schools that were willing to do that for me, one being Princeton and one being Brown, okay? One being Hamilton, which is a small school. I don't know if you guys heard. It's kind of a liberal arts Division III school. They were going to gift me because it was like kind of like he's a little bit retarded, but he's a good hockey player, and we could turn a good hockey player into maybe a mediocre student, right? I can't say retarded. Okay. So I'm sorry. Industry term in hockey. So I ended up at Life University believing that I was still a good athlete but not a very good student. So I don't think I really believed that I could actually do the curriculum and get through school. Let me assure you of a very important truth. The easiest thing in chiropractic is to get into school. Did anyone have a hard time getting into school? Some people laugh, right? They're like, oh my gosh, we got an application today. That guy's coming. We're going to decide the guy. Give a scholarship. We want to lock that guy in, right? Was it hard for anyone to get into chiropractic school? No, it wasn't at all, right? The second hardest thing about chiropractic is getting through chiropractic school, right? Passing your tests, passing your classes, passing boards. The third most and the most difficult thing, bar none, is to be successful as a chiropractor. I assure you. So when I was in school, I struggled. I fell in this. I met this guy who played hockey. He's from Canada, so he's even dumber than me. I heard somebody was from Canada, so that's why I said that. Who's from Canada here? I heard somebody. Canadians like stick together and they share things. I love it. I've never met a person from Canada that I didn't like. I love it. I was in Texas.
Because we're good at hockey.
What's that?
Because we're good at hockey.
That's right. You're very good at hockey. So I was in Texas. I bought a truck and I drove it home the other day, and I was 45 minutes from just purchasing this truck, and I got rear-ended at 50 miles an hour. That sucked. And so, and I mean, it literally felt like jolted, and I'm like, can I do my own personal injury case on me and get a settlement from the insurance? It ran through my mind. So I told the cop that was there. It was like some 17-year-old kid that was, he was all pissed off that he wrecked his 81 Toyota Celica. And I was like, it's okay, buddy. It's okay. You're 17, man. You got tons of cards in your life. I was like comforting, right? And the cop looks at me. He looks at my paperwork. He looks at me. He looks at the plate of my truck. He looks at me. He goes, "Did you just buy this thing?" I said, "Yeah, about 45 minutes ago." He goes, "And you rubbing that punk's back?" So he looks at me. And so he goes back to the paperwork. The kid's over there on the phone still talking to his dad. He said, "But Dad, I wrecked the car." Cop's like this. Looks at me. "Pardon me, sir." He goes over. Puts his arm around this kid. He goes, "Listen, man. He just bought that truck." He goes, "You wrecked this piece of junk?" He goes, "That's why we drive trucks in Texas." He goes, "Let that be a lesson, big boy." And he goes, "So you're just passing through going to Denver?" He like just proceeds back into the conversation. So I said to him, I go, "Man, I've never met somebody in Texas that I like. I mean, everyone I've ever met from Texas, I love." He goes, "You sure you didn't hit your head in that accident, boy?" He goes, "I'll pull over any one of these guys on this highway right now. You'll hate it in 30 seconds. I swear they're all pricks." That's what he said. But I've never met anyone from Canada that I didn't like. And so in school, when I was in school, I met a guy that told me that C stands for chiropractic. Has anyone heard that stupid statement before? That is a dumb statement, okay? That is ignorant. And if that's somebody that you let speak in your life, have you told her that C stands for chiropractic? Well, you need to get off the hashish and start speaking life into that girl's thing. You know, so if that person speaks that in your life, you guys need to literally just say, you know what, I need to surround myself with people that are going to uplift me and encourage my future, right? Because C for chiropractic means that if you do not get a C, what does that stand for? At our school, it's an F, right? Do you guys have Ds? Do you guys have Ds? You do? Does that count as sassing?
Some. Science, yeah.
Why are you the only one that knows that? My man. So yeah, so I mean, in our school, it meant that you failed. It didn't matter what type of class it was, you failed. When I got C's, and I wasn't quite on my game, and you fall a little bit short, there's no grace, and that's an F. So I failed 4 classes my first year. And then they give you a special title when you do that. It's called probation, right? And then again, when you are not exactly on top of your game and you're on probation and you fail, what is that called? It's called expulsion. And I got expelled. I found out about it while I was on my honeymoon with my wife after she was done her courtship with me and she won the title. I found out in Aruba that I had failed and that they expelled me from Life University in 6th quarter. That was a huge heartbreak. Huge. And so what happened was, I got expelled. I come back, I'm like, I can work my way out of anything. I go over, I write an appeal, and literally they're like, oh, it could take up to like 7 days to find out from the board, right? The board, there's some stupid board that's like in a room, and they're all like masterminding, like, yeah, okay, we're measuring all the pros and cons in this kid's case. No, it went for a one jabroni, and they just said no in 30 minutes. I found out by the time I was back to my condo that I did not win my appeal. I was like, oh no. That's a big deal. It was a year and a half a day. Is chiropractic school cheap? It's easy to pay for it though, right? Right, isn't it? You just sign the paper and they just give you loans and it just pays for it. It's sweet. It's like shit. It's like this like literally like endless supply of money. It's an amazing thing. Yeah, they don't stop, I assure you. And you're like, oh my God, I borrowed how much? Jesus, what? So I go through the process and I said that you can't appeal twice. But I was like, man, I've never failed at anything. So I like go back and I find like this lady that was willing to like hear me out. Started working with me, and I started showing up, and I went back into undergrad. I started taking classes undergrad and worked hard to get a perfect score in those classes the best I could for a kid that was some would consider handicapped. And so I got A's in those classes, and then I resubmitted with a new appeal and said, look, but I was just stepped back and I was like, I can do it. I just was unfocused. And she fought for me and supported me. I met with her every single week. Her name's Dr. Lisa Rubin. You know Dr. Lisa? Man, you know her husband, Dr. Drew Rubin. I mean, amazing chiropractic family. And she worked at the school. I'd meet with her, and she talked about everything. And so I went in front of the board again, right? And they let me back in. They gave me one class a quarter, and I had to get an A in that class. Could not get a B. And I had to do it until I got my GPA back up over 2.0. It took me a year and a half. It was horrible. You know what it's like every single time you have to take it? It wasn't like you could get, if I got a B on a test, I knew that I almost had to get a perfect score on the next one to get my average back up into an A. I mean, it's scary. Every single test, I mean, I was like, I tried not to bear down too hard when I was like filling the bubbles because I thought if I just pooped water because I was so stressed. I hope that doesn't offend anybody, but that's like, you know, we're going to care for people that poop water, right? And it's like L3, you just adjust it, now they got a solid student. Just have to do it twice. So my point is that I did it, and I got back up over that GPA, and I never failed a class again all the way through school. But in that process, the only thing that got me back on track and kept me focused, other than my wife and having to want to make sure that I provided and let her down, was the fact that I fell in love with chiropractic. See, before I didn't really have a purpose. This is the truth. I read a book, and you guys should read this book. You probably, at NYCC, I don't know if you've heard of this book. Maybe some of you had, depending on the circles you roll in. There's a book by Dr. Fred Barge. It's called Are You the Doctor, Doctor? It's a great book, and if you haven't read it, it's a very easy read, even for a guy like me. And I'm not stupid. I was just unfocused in school. I like to make fun of myself, but it keeps me from making fun of you guys. But it's a very easy read. I read it about a day and a half, and it literally changed my life. It's a little paperback book, Are You the Doctor, Doctor? It talks about, Fred Barge comes from perspectives, right, about are you carrying yourself like a doctor? Now, you'll look at me, and you'll say, I mean, that guy's got that beard and that hair and this stunning body, and that may not look like a doctor. I don't wear a white jacket. I don't. I want to be myself. You know, I want to express myself, my sole purpose, my style, my creativity, my passion in my practice. That allows me to be 100% confident, 100% powerful all the time, right? Where if I'm trying to be something that I'm not, people can see through that, right? And they see like lack of like genuineness. And for me, wearing a white jacket and you know, a stethoscope or whatever, you know, if that's you, rock it, you know, you own it, but that wasn't me, right? And so I have fun in my practice, and you're going to hear a little bit about that. But going through that process, I read that book and I fell in love with chiropractic. And what that led to was me running after everything and anything that I could to absorb the idea and the understanding of chiropractic so I could get as prepared as possible. And so when I came out, I ended up getting linked up with Dr. Jeremy when I was in school and learning from him. I went to his office on a regular basis and dissected every aspect of it. Okay, every single aspect, even his wife. And that was funny. I thought it was funny too. No, Dr. Amanda is like, she's like a sister to me, and so is Dana, Dr. Eric's wife. I love these women. You know what I mean? They're wonderful, wonderful people. And like my wife, they're so much of the reason why that we're successful in just a small fraction of our success. It's like our wives just drive us to that all the time, support us in it. But we dissected them. My wife would go down there and we'd study what they're doing. I mean, anything that I could do, he'd be like, oh, I've got it. I can't be at the office, but you know, I need something dropped off the house. I'm like, I got it. So I could go drop that off at the house. I could sit down with him and talk to him and listen to him and ask them questions like, man, what do you do for payroll? How much do you start them at? How long are they at that? When do you raise them? How do you bonus them? What do you train on first? Where do they start? Do you just give them everything? Do they just need to answer the phone? Do you have an old lady? Do you have a fat lady? Do you have a lazy-eyed lady? Like, what do you do? You know what I mean? And he had an answer for everything. There's 15 years of wisdom and practice. But we wanted to transform that into today's society, today's healthcare system, and in today's style. right? So we like milked him and his wife for everything that they knew, and they were an open book from start to finish. And we invite friends all the time to come and learn with us, like Dr. Eric. And some took that invitation, some didn't. And there's a dramatic difference in who did versus who didn't. So when I went out to Golden, Colorado with my wife, and we set out to launch our practice, which is called ADIO Chiropractic, ADIO. Does everyone, and be honest, does everybody know what ADIO stands for? No? Okay, that's right. I didn't know when I was like 6th, 7th, 8th quarter. And I heard them go, we're at it's okay, you're trying. So so yeah, I was like at this conference going, ADIO, and everyone's yelling ADIO, and I'm like, ADIO, and I'm like, I don't freaking know what the hell they're talking about, but I'm doing it. I'm all in, ADIO, and I was like, what the hell does it stand for? Well, ADIO stands for above, down, inside, and out. Okay, about how the body heals and performs and functions, the brain communicates through the spinal cords and nerves. That's every muscle, cell, tissue organ. So I named my practice. No. The guy that's helping me negotiate my lease said if you suck, people can just be like, well, adios, and they can just be like, that's not money. That's not money. I'm like, you're a billionaire. I'm not. That's not money. So anyway, we went out and we opened our practice, and so we launched this thing, right? And with the counsel of Dr. Jeremy and the support of all of our friends and learning from Dr. Eric and what he had done and a couple of other of our mentors. We went out and we put 174 new practice members on the books our first week through marketing. Does that surprise anybody? Yeah, because I'd never heard anything like that in my life. And once we started moving, we started exercising, we started moving our feet in our community, it was like all of these numbers and these people started committing to coming in for appointments in our office. I was like, holy crap, we better get some help. And so we're getting people up because I believe that God will trust you with what you're prepared for. Does that make sense? You know what I mean? He's not going to put more on than you're equipped for. We had shoulders to carry, okay? And so we had 174 new practice members scheduled that week. 120 showed up. We processed 120 new practice members for like 15-hour days, 6 days that week. Just like, and with other doctors helping me, students that were trained to be doctors. And 120 showed. And then we saw 178 total visits. So the new ones plus adjustments that people got started that week. We broke 300 in 3 weeks, 300 visits a week in our first 3 weeks. And we've never stopped since then. I like to say we're 100% cash practice, but randomly a check will roll in from an out-of-network insurance that was billed that I don't even know how to do. Like we have our software program, like we'll send it in, submit it as out-of-network, but it like reimbursed. I'm like, wow, we gotta look at it. $18 check, sweet, give it the mail. So we're essentially 100% cash practice. And we're 75% or more paid in full practice. I checked it about 3 months ago. And what that means is that we recommend care plans, right? Like there's a saying in philosophy, you hit what you aim at, okay? And so we will, based upon that person and their condition, their history, their assessment, we will map out a plan to achieve their health goals, okay? So you have an option on practice that you can't pay per visit. You can't just walk in and pay it over the counter. Every visit has a monetary value, but you can't just walk in and pay a copay. That's not our style, okay? There's hang-ups in that, and I'll explain to you why, okay? Because someone doesn't have their $20, right? Or there's like, they just see, like they just keep handing that money over the counter, and they think, oh, $20, but I'm only here for a few minutes, or $30, or $50, whatever it is, right? There's just different hang-ups. It's a logistic nightmare in our practice for our team and everything. So they can pay monthly or upfront and receive a small discount. 75% or more of our practice does upfront. And it's because there's that much value in what we do. And I'm talking like, I was telling Tara last night, my wife didn't work yesterday. She was at the house with the baby in the belly. And she says, how are the reports today? How are the financials and stuff like that? I said, we had I forget what it was. I think it was like 8 people that had committed to care in our evening report, or 8 units, meaning like it could have been a family. It was one of them. 8 people committed to care, and 3 of them paid in full for care. And 1 of them was a family, 2 of them were individuals, and so it accumulated somewhere like a $10,000 cash day yesterday. You know what I mean? Just from people committing to care yesterday, of transactions over the counter. What we do has a phenomenal value, and people are willing to pay for that value, but you have to communicate to them in a way that says to them, yes, I know I pay for these because New York is a big insurance state, right? Yes, I pay for these premiums on a regular basis, and it's very expensive, but maybe they have crappy benefit reimbursements. But I'm willing, because of your communication, because of the value that you created in my sphere, to pay out of pocket for what your services are. Okay. Because who here wants to have a cash practice? Or, I mean, so are the people that aren't raising their hair not sure, or are they like wanting to be insurance dependent? Which is not a sin. I mean, don't feel bad about that. Or maybe you don't really know the difference, but there are differences. Who'd like to have a pediatric practice? Like see a lot of pediatrics. Wouldn't that be cool? If you don't like kids, don't do it. You know, my team members don't like kids, so every time that we have a report, I make her go in the room and like watch the kids so the parents can pay attention. Don't make that girl like kids. You know, who wants to see pregnant moms in their practice? Who wants to get moms pregnant in practice? I'm talking about infertility, body function, perverts. Freaking New York people are perverts. Canadians were like, I'm totally getting pregnant. You know, like, those are things that we're going to discuss tonight with you guys about how you can do that, how you can communicate it, how you can leverage your skills, and get as prepared as possible right out of school. Because I'm telling you, don't let people speak fear into your life. This is not a fear. Launch is not a mission of fear. Launch is a mission of telling people all across the country that there's a bunch of young bucks full of piss and vinegar, tons of passion, and logical steps that they can take to serve their communities right out of school. And do it in a chiropractic fashion that creates value for our profession, right? Creates value for our communities and gets respect for you, who you are, when you come out in your fullest version of yourselves. There's nothing to buy here. There's no franchises. There's nothing. There's nowhere you're going to sign on the dotted line so you can say, I want to do what they do. Here for $375,000, you can. That's not what we do. We believe that you guys have the potential inside yourselves to be 100% successful right out of the gate if that is your sole purpose. So I'm grateful that you're here. We've got a great lineup of things that are going to be discussed from pediatrics to chiropractic communication to creating and establishing and running a cash practice that is highly fruitful and very well respected as a business. Is that cool with you guys? Awesome. So thanks for being here. We're going to get started. Cool.
All right, so it's finally time for my presentation. It's been up here the whole time. Look how organized my wife is. This is Lincoln. He's sleeping somewhere in the hotel right now. We can see him. So, she's amazing. He picks up all my weaknesses. So I encourage you all to find a spouse that's going to pick up your weaknesses as well. Oh yeah, they're going to go find him. So I also want to bring up. Juan. Want to come up? Juan and Galen's also here. Hey, Juan. Juan's going to be interning with us. He just drove out from Iowa.
16 hours?
16 hours. Got in last night. And this is how dedicated he is. We met, how many years back did we meet you?
Coming up on 3 years.
3 years. So we met Juan 3 years ago out in Iowa. He's just been plugging in. He's learning a ton. And he could have easily slept in, right? Like, learned Newburgh area, kind of got plugged in, but he said, I want to come up. I want to meet the students up there, and I just want to share a little bit. So I'm just going to go ahead, man.
Yeah. I want some more.
16-hour drive was really not that hard either because I knew that I was going to be able to plug into an innate chiropractic Dr. Brower's office and start serving people. I've been working for 3 years towards it, and I knew I wouldn't be at this point without getting plugged into these docs 3 years ago. That's where I fell in love with chiropractic, actually. When I got to chiropractic school, I really wanted to help people with back pain and neck pain. It's really what I knew about chiropractic. I didn't know very much. I was pre-med in undergrad, and I really thought that I was going to go medical. But then when I went to a chiropractic school, when I visited Palmer, walking on the campus, seeing everything and seeing, that the nervous system controls every single cell, tissue, organ in your body. I really didn't get that, so I went to Palmer and visited. And the nervous system was always my favorite system in the body to learn from in undergrad. And so that's why I decided, chiropractic, that's really where I wanted to go, knowing nothing and knowing that, just having a sense that's where I needed to be. And then I ran into these guys. They showed me that I could be successful in chiropractic, that I could make a difference and make an impact right away. And I have so many people, my friends, that are about to graduate, and they're so confused. They have no idea what they're going to do. And they have, jobs, they got jobs lined up. Most of them are going to associate, which is great. They have great associates lined up. But a lot of them can't even get an associate because they concentrated too much on school, they concentrate too much on other stuff, and they don't have, what people are looking for in other chiropractic offices. And so I'm so thankful to have these docs in my life because just randomly I can call them or they can call me, and it's just like, oh, Dr. Hess, call me on the phone, 10 o'clock at night. It's awesome having these guys because they just show you their heart. And, really, they don't really need to be doing this. They have amazing, amazing offices. They don't need to leave their offices. They're going across the country to Parker and to Sherman and to Life and to Logan next week, and they're just showing their heart to all these students, and all the students at Palmer are so grateful for them. We talk about it all the time and how real they are. Like, these guys should be, legends to us, or, really hold themselves higher than us, but they don't. They come right to our level, and they give their heart out, and they give all the information that we need to be successful, and I'm so grateful for you guys. Thanks, Paul. Appreciate that one.
I appreciate it. All right, guys.
Let's see this thing. Come on, man. It's like,
This is it. This is it. All right, so we're going to talk about communication tonight, and communication is the root of everything. We need to be effective communicators, especially of the message of chiropractic. We need a foundation. So, really the purpose of us going around all these campuses is to light a fire inside of everybody to not only want to understand chiropractic on different levels, the principles of chiropractic, but also really to unite people to want to start taking action steps while they're in school. To teach you guys things that you may not know that you don't know, right? Because there's a lot of things you don't know that you don't know right now. We're going to focus on those tonight, and especially nitty-gritty tomorrow, because we'll be a lot of question and answers as well tomorrow. There's 3 types of people that typically will go through school, and there's 3 choices you can have. There are those that are going to get prepared while they're in school, and if you're preparing while you're in school, if you're learning not only about chiropractic, but the business sense, how to effectively communicate chiropractic, you're going to open up and have great success right from the start, right? Then there's people like myself who get started late, or while they're already in practice, and then they want to start diving in and learning these things, and it's a lot harder. It's a lot harder. You start waiting till late quarters, you have boards, there's a lot of other things going on, it becomes a lot harder, right? Once you get in practice, if you want to turn around and actually start becoming effective and changing your whole paradigm of how you want to practice and what you want to learn, then it gets really hard. Because the bills are piling in, you already know one system, it's going to be much, much harder, okay? And the last choice is you never do anything, right? You just never make any choices to actually dive in, start learning certain procedures, certain steps to be successful. And then we see people that are selling out of chiropractic, doing other things, and we don't want that for you guys, right? So we want you guys to start making these decisions right now. So form follows energy. So what are we doing in school right now? I think a lot of us, like myself, we forgot that we were in chiropractic school, right? You decided that you're going to chiropractic school. What are you spending most of your time doing? You know that the rest of your life you're going to be a chiropractor, but what are you focused on? Maybe going to the gym, maybe talking with friends, hanging out, going to bars, watching movies. But yet you want to be a chiropractor for the rest of your life, and you're focusing on all these other things. You're not going to school for if you want to be somebody an exercise, a CrossFit person, somebody does CrossFit all the time, or somebody does is super into swimming, then you could go to school for that, right? And you do that for the rest of your life. You go teach swimming for the rest of your life, but you want to be a chiropractor, so you got to train your body, you got to train yourself right now to be the best chiropractor possible. Am I right? But I think we lose sight of that. So, I really believe that you need to put the right people in your life, like Dr. Michael was saying. You need the right mentors. You need the right friends in your life. And you need to put certain people out of your life. So you need to see, what are your weaknesses? So you need to look inside yourself, what am I weak on? What do I need help on? And you need to start putting those people in your life. If you have bad habits, you need to start putting people in your life that have really good habits in the opposite direction, right? How do you know they're the right friends? How do you know it's the right mentor in your life? If you're feeling challenged. You feel a little insecure hanging out with somebody. I remember when I first started hanging out with these group of guys that started getting me connected with chiropractic and the business sense that I wanted to do in my life, I felt insecure many times. I felt unworthy of even hanging out with this group. I felt very insecure. But that's good. That means your body's growing, right? With stress, there is growth. And who to avoid? Well, we got to avoid all the naysayers. People that say, don't practice here. You can't do that. You can't be insurance independent. And you want to protect yourself. Even family members. I remember personally, my brother actually told me at one point that I shouldn't open an office on my own. Why? Right? Because he knew the old me. He didn't know what I had been doing. Right? And so many family members can actually be the people that are holding you back the most. Watch what you're looking on Facebook. Obviously, watch old friends if they keep dragging you down. Yeah, I'm serious, guys. This is one of the most important. If you want to make any action steps towards a better future, these are the first things that you need to start doing. So we're going to get into communication, but we need a foundation first, right? Wrong direction. Okay. So comfort zones and fears. So to be an effective communicator, it's all about just conquering fears, right? That's where it has to come. It has to come from getting out of your comfort zones. We had opportunities for clubs to do this, where it actually just pull people up randomly, have them talk on something, give them a topic. We have questions, discussions, trainings constantly, and we really want that for you guys, right? Something where you can kind of keep plugging in. We want that for you guys. Screenings is a great opportunity. There's docs here tonight that you can actually go work for on weekends, probably make a little bit of money, and learn to talk chiropractic, kind of get beat up a little bit. You get beat up while you're in school, so when you graduate, you don't have to get beat up and punched like Dr. Jeremy was talking about earlier. You know exactly what to do, so you kind of make all the mistakes now. I remember, and so screenings events, that's when you go out in the community, you can have a table, and you just really talk to people about the nervous system, about their health, and hopefully you're signing them up, getting them to follow through, and come into the office. Because what good is it telling somebody all about the nervous system, telling them how it's going to greatly benefit their family, and then you're not closing them to come in the office. So you're also learning sales. You're learning to collect money for chiropractic service if you're going to be collecting any sort of money there as a deposit, and those are all really good things to learn while you're in school. Right? It's crucial. It's so beneficial, and there's docs here like Dr. Brian, who I want to thank Dr. Brian because this would not be going on. Thank you, Dr. Brian. This, 4.5 hours away, and we have clubs and we do these lunch tours all over the country. Dr. Brian had it on his heart to bring this tour to NYCC. So I didn't know anybody up here. I had friends that graduated up here, 2-3 years ago. I know nobody up here now. He had some people. Randy's one of them, and we got involved with Randy. Thank you, Randy. And some other students, and we helped bring this tour here. So I want to really thank Dr. Brian for that. So he has opportunities, and you can. The other thing is when you go to these docs and you do screenings for them, then you get a chance to hang out with a doc. You can ask them tough questions. You can ask them, financials. You can ask them, what would you say in this situation? And really, it's just all about just getting beat up. Because the more you get beat up, the stronger it makes you. But it's so hard, right? It's so hard just to get out there and just start talking to someone about chiropractic constantly. But every single time you do it, you're getting stronger. And I always look at it like going to the gym. Every rep, or if you're playing any sports, every rep that you do, every time you shoot a move in wrestling, every time you lift a certain weight, you're going to get stronger, right? You're going to get better at it, better at it, better at it. So the more you do these things, the more you get out of your comfort zone, the more you explain the nervous system, the more you explain about the benefits of chiropractic, the better that you're going to get at it. So you need to do it a lot, especially before you get out in the field. Because even if you want to be an associate, you need to be good at it as an associate as well, right? You need to be great at it as an associate. Otherwise, people aren't going to want to take you. So internships are important, and really just keep showing up, right? Just keep showing up. Consistency is key. Just like with chiropractic care, with anything, with training for any sport, you just got to keep going. The worst case scenario with practice members is when they come when they want, and then they're not following a plan, and then they complain that they're not getting the results that they want. It's the most annoying thing ever. Consistency is key. Consistency is key. So if you want to get this, effectively communicate, you need to constantly do it, right? So I believe you need to love the principle of chiropractic. I didn't know about chiropractic. I didn't even know when I went to chiropractic school that chiropractors check babies. I had no idea. That was a completely foreign thing. I had no idea. So I knew obviously very little about principles of chiropractic. So how do you do that? You visit offices. You read testimonies. Testimonies, like I share with Dr. Hess' office, is what really sold me on chiropractic. Holy cow, it can do these amazing things. When the brain can communicate with the body without any interference, the body can heal. The body can function properly. No matter what somebody's suffering with, they're going to be better off. You can read chiropractic textbooks, technique, conferences. There's a great technique called torque release technique, and if you there's amazing other techniques out there, but if you go to a technique conference, you're going to learn so much just about the human body and how you can affect the nervous system through this technique, so you're going to learn so much. And just getting adjusted yourself. Just getting adjusted yourself, seeing the benefits. I'm looking in this room, there's a ton, everybody in here is healthy, everybody in here looks amazing. So there's a lot of healthy people here, but I guarantee when you start getting checked regularly, your lives will change. So key points when effectively communicating. So the number one thing is getting on somebody's level, no matter where they're at. If somebody's really up high, if somebody's like super excited and you want to talk about chiropractic, are you going to come at them and be really meek? No, because you're on different levels, right? You need to get up to their level, so you need to approach them like that. We say you need to be like tofu. You know, you need to be like tofu, sucking all the juices. So tofu can just kind of adapt with any sort of food. You need to be like tofu when you're talking to people. If somebody's coming in and their cat just died and they're in all sorts of pain and they're hobbling in and they're ticked off, are you going to go in the room and say, "Great day, the sun is shining, let's get you adjusted"? No, they're going to hate you at that instant, right?
I hated you when you just said that.
Yeah. I hated myself saying that. But so you need to get on people's levels, right? You need to have an answer for everything. And how do you do that? Well, you need to get beat up and get asked everything, and then just keep answering them. So we're gonna have a little fun. There's a couple things. So some people may say, "I don't need chiropractic. I do yoga. I stretch. I do all these different things." Okay. What if somebody says that? What if somebody says, "Well, I just work out"? You say, well, there's many different answers here, right? But one of the top things I say, if somebody's really into working out and they look really great on the outside, say, you know, if there's any imbalances in your structure and you're working out all the time, it's actually could make that structure actually rapidly degenerate. It's like if a car's out of alignment and it's a Porsche, and then you race that Porsche around the track at 100 miles per hour, the tire's going to wear much quicker. So while it's crucial you do those exercises, and it's very important, with a clear nervous system, with a healthy structure, you can get the most out of those workouts. That's good, right? So you can answer that for any one of these. What about this one? I've been to other chiropractors and I get worse. Now, there's a lot of different answers for this. This is where we use our technique, because we may hear this. So we just say, well, we use the most advanced technique in the history of chiropractic care. It's proven by research to show us exactly where we need to make a gentle, specific correction without any twisting, turning, or cracking. So whatever technique you do, you just need to talk about the value of your technique and what makes you different. So that's so important, right? What are you different? Why is your technique different? Because you're going to hear this crap all the time. You're going to hear all the stupidest things ever all the time when you're in this profession. Can chiropractic help with really fill in the blank? Right? And so there could be an answer for everything. And if it's a really serious one, maybe RA, IBS. Now, Ms. Smith, there's no guarantees, but what I can assure you is with a clear nervous system, your chances of being better are going to greatly increase. That's right. And we see it time and time again in this office, people getting well with things like IBS. Kids in chiropractic. Why do kids need chiropractic? Well, you can explain the nervous system, the fact that the brain controls every organ, cell, and tissue in the body, needs to communicate with the body. I have a 16-month-old son. He falls 50 times a minute. Not to mention the birthing process, where research shows 90% of births are traumatic, 10% to the head, 80% to the neck, in which you're twisting, pulling the baby out. Over 80% of births are epidural births, which means mom cannot push the baby out naturally, which means the doctors are pulling baby out. Johns Hopkins University states that 6 to 8. These guys are such.
I'm sorry. Your wife's flirting with me. I'm like, damn, you're pregnant.
Johns Hopkins University states that 6 to 8% of all births need to be cesarean, and thank goodness for those procedures because they are necessary at time. But in New York State, they're actually at 62%, and you should be appalled by that. You should be appalled by that. It saves time, and it's a huge revenue booster. And studies have shown that this type of procedure, and I wanted to be a medical doctor too. I interned at hospitals, so I personally did see a lot of these. That's why they close the blinds and let dad see. Sometimes they're pulling baby and the baby's almost coming off tables. So you tell me, now how fragile are babies' heads and necks? Very, right? They're mostly cartilage. Many of us guys in this room, when you want to hold a newborn baby, so that's why babies need to get checked. And if we need to make it, and you always need to have. So if someone is all about feeling better, if you want to talk about somebody feeling better, you always need to add the word function. So not only are you going to feel better, but you're also going to function better. Because really that's what you want to talk on somebody's level. People do want to feel better if they have migraine headaches or neck pain or sciatica. So you want to say feel better and function better. So that's with kids in chiropractic. If you're with kids in chiropractic, you want to always say gentle, specific correction. As much pressure as checking the ripeness of avocado, because no chiropractor that checks kids is doing one of these numbers, right? But people may be thinking that. Why do I need that much care? Why do I need that much care? Why does it take so long? Once you start going to a chiropractor, you need to get going. Well, you can say a couple different things regarding maintenance care. If you go to a dentist and your teeth are perfect, would the dentist ever say you never need to brush your teeth again? You see a bodybuilder and the bodybuilder gets on stage and is posing. Would that bodybuilder ever think, I never need to work out again, I'm just going to be perfect for the rest of my life? No, so what we do is we're a corrective care office. We make initial corrections, and it does take time and repetition because it takes time and repetition for the spine to go out of alignment. It takes time and repetition to make corrections. Once we make those corrections, we want to maintain. So you can ensure that optimal health for as long as possible. We don't just want that for you, but we want that for your whole family. We build value, and Dr. Michael was talking about financials, and I'm sure that went over a student's head. It's like, man, I don't even go to Starbucks because I don't want to spend $3 on a coffee.
Starbucks, he's booze up over here.
That's because it's free out here, right? So a lot of those numbers, $10,000 days, 7-figure offices, which, thank God, we do have. And I'm not saying it to brag, I'm just saying that because we build a lot of value in what we do. You can't just present a care plan and expect somebody to shell out money. You need to build value. So that's where systems and procedures come in offices. So we have a lot of systems and procedures, and each time it's just building value in chiropractic. There's no scare tactics in our office. There's not one. If somebody doesn't want our care, we don't want to drag dead weight up the hill. So we do not do scare tactics. If somebody doesn't want it, we don't want them. We want somebody that's going to really commit and want to receive optimal health through chiropractic care. So we do office tours. We do day one education. It's just a 5 to 7 minute talk that gives basic information, right? We do evaluations, not only for our own assessments, but to build value and show people that, hey, there's a problem here in my nervous system. As someone goes through care in our office, we redo these assessments. Report of findings, where we go over x-rays, we give a talk, and we explain really from A to Z about health and healing and why they should have their families checked. And then it goes on and on. It never stops. Education never stops. Building value never stops. From the first adjustment to talking about family care and just beyond, keeping them under long-term wellness maintenance care. And that's how you can build those sort of practices. This is, we really built the practice of our dreams using these systems, right? So this is things like lunch and learns. So that's my wife, my beautiful wife, and we go to businesses when we first, now typically we have other people maybe doing this for us. We do these occasionally, and we do lunch and learns at businesses, right? We just don't have afternoons now to do these things. We have a family on weekends. We host events at local malls. This is us. There's sacrifice with everything that you do, and especially early on, you need to sacrifice more. And if you're behind the curve like I was, you're going to need to sacrifice a lot more in a shorter amount of time if you want to reach your goals. So this was about 39 degrees, 40 degrees. This was an event at Orange County Choppers, which is in our backyard. And we could have easily said no to do this event. No other swingers showed up, but we said, we're going to do this event and we're going to meet people. We met a family. And we met a family that's still with us to this day. This was 3 years ago. A whole family. Was it worth it? Absolutely. This is the event. Our office is right here. There's a big Target. We're in a Target shopping plaza. There's a Target here. This event we threw for the community. You get to do really fun things like that. That event got us in the paper, and this is us giving some basic information. This is called our doctor report, where we give information about that health and healing and how chiropractic can affect their lives. We believe in giving back in our office. Right now, we're doing gift baskets for the troops overseas. Mostly New York-based troops too, which is cool because some of their families are around the area, and it's really neat. This was our Christmas dinner last year. Over 250 people showed up. And we did talk about chiropractic, but it was also a time just to really have a lot of fun with our practice members too. We host dinner with the docs. We host ladies' night out with my wife, really specialized in these events. This is our team and our team family dinner that we had for Christmas. Now, so a lot of those are kids and spouses. But we truly have the practice of our dreams. This is our team right here. We have 4 full-time team members right now, and each one of them can communicate chiropractic to the T. Each one of them has trainings. Each one of them we train weekly. That's why on how to constantly improve. My why in life is that there's always a better way. So we're always improving on how to be able to serve more people. When we throw around numbers like saying 900 a week, when I first opened, I couldn't imagine seeing more than 60 a week. But as you keep improving your systems, your technique, to be more effective with your technique, to educate people quicker, to build more value, these things just start becoming possible in your head. And it's just so much fun. When you're serving, I love this family. we see this family. You know, we have Lincoln running around the office. We have Spider-Man in the office. This stuff is fun, guys. It is a ton of fun. I want you guys to have practice of your dreams. I don't want you guys just to have this dull practice somewhere or doing things that you really don't want to do, right? So I just encourage you all to start practicing now. And we do always put family first in my life, in our lives. So I love this equation. So intention, which is this is from Ronnie Doss, who's somebody that's going to be speaking at our conference, actually, the conference in Atlanta that we're going to be having. Intention plus mechanism equals the result. So that means this. What is your deepest commitment? What is your way of doing it? And that's how you're going to get your result. So how committed are you to doing something? And then how are you learning to do it? What system are you doing? I believe we have a really great system. We're going to talk about that more, especially tonight, and then tomorrow morning we're going to dive into it. And that's going to give you a result. The result is always fair. So what are you committed to? Thank you, guys.
That's awesome.
Good. He saw 900 last week. Actually, we saw 901. Hit the bust your bubble. All right. Take the sexy shot of my wife here. Text it to her. All right.
I'll do it right now.
All right. So awesome. Hope you guys got anything on this.
Having fun?
Oh. All right, so I'm the one talking about pediatrics tonight, and oh, Eric, you looked at the wrong one. Even multiple PowerPoints for me on this. That's the different PowerPoint. But that picture okay too. That's actually a picture of something while he's doing that. And explain one of the things we do. One of the things we do is because you know most people don't know anything about chiropractic or very little. So when people come to see you and they know it's like typically 3 or 4 categories. One is they've been to other chiropractors, right? One category is that they've never been to chiropractors, right? And the most common category is that they've never been, but they may know some things about it, or they kind of know what the media has told them. So one of the things, this is actually a picture in our office of where we do. Do you have the other one, Eric?
It's loading.
Okay. Mm-hmm. It's called a doctor's report, right? Or like a time when we have everybody get together and we educate them on chiropractic. Okay. So typically, what happens is I don't know how they teach the college here. How do they teach the college here? Like, how do you like X-ray people, or how does that work? They kind of teach you that. How do they teach you the college usually?
Set it up. We don't fire them.
Oh, they don't do that. They
We
teach
just set them up. We
Well, he's saying that, so he's saying that they train on taking X-rays.
Yeah.
Okay.
So they do teach taking X-rays and stuff like that.
All right, cool.
Yeah.
They kind of have the philosophy of not X-raying every patient.
Yeah,
All right.
that's fair.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it's not like a necessity based. Yeah.
Yeah, so depending on your technique, so typically when they come in the first visit or two, they'll, we give them a tour of the office like Dr. Eric was talking about, show them around the tour. You ever been like Disney World, you go to Disney World, who's been to Disney World? Right? It's like you've been to Disney World and they take on a tour and show you around the hotel and everything. It's kind of an experience. So that's what we do. We kind of help people get accustomed to our practice. Because typically a lot of people, when they come into the office, they're kind of like this, right? I mean, they are, right? Right? I mean, kind of like this, especially if, like, someone brought their spouse and spouse doesn't really be there, or it's kind of like they're in pain and just want the pain to go away. It's like they just like do something. Not everybody, but some people like that. So what we do is we bring them on a tour. We start to the tour process, and it builds a relationship. Remember, one thing in important practice is that, and important in life is that relationships are built on trust, right? And so, like right now, it's like you guys don't know us, so you don't trust us yet, which is totally fair. I don't trust you guys either. So it's work both ways. Hopefully this little baby trusts me, huh? Mother back here, I don't know if she trusts me either. But it's a relationship. So in your practice, basically what you're doing is you're courting the practice number. You're trying to build a relationship with them. So the tour process, you show them around, they meet the team members, they see the office, they see other people getting adjusted, they see maybe kids getting adjusted, and then they do go through an assessment process. And long story short, one of the pivotal points of the practice is where you do a doctor's report. And basically, doctor's report is like this. If you were all practice members, we would sit up here and we spend about 30 minutes, 45 minutes, an hour teaching you about chiropractic. a very short teaching because there's a lot to cover. The basics of chiropractic. And essentially, as much as we don't want to sometimes admit it, right? We're actually selling them chiropractic. Anybody ever feel like who likes to sell stuff here? Okay, okay, cool, a little bit.
Good. One of you.
All right, so here's the deal. What's true is when it comes to health, who's selling the public health right now? Like big time. Who sells public health?
Tons.
Pharmaceutical companies, right? Right? All kinds of marketing. So what's tough for us is especially students, is like, man, I didn't get a chiropractic. I have to sell people on chiropractic. But truth be told is that our education process is backed up by some salesmanship. It has to be. It has to be a little charismatic, potentially, a little relational. We're trying to connect with people. Essentially, we're trying to sell them instead of them being sold on drugs, right, and pharmaceuticals and surgery. We're trying to basically point them in the direction of health, right, for them, their families, and their kids. So our doctor's report is that pivotal time in the practice where they kind of get a bigger idea about chiropractic and why they should be there, right? Everyone here probably gets adjusted pretty routinely. We all get adjusted, right? Obviously, we do it for a spouse, we have kids, we get them adjusted, right? Well, we want the same for everybody else. And I'm going to talk about it here a little bit too. So this is a picture of a baby getting adjusted. And I put this on here. I don't have a picture. I'm going to tell you a funny story. Looks like the baby that I'm going to tell a story about, but it's not that baby. And this is one of our team members, Sam. And this is actually one of our adjustment rooms, obviously. And we have pictures with kids getting adjusted. It's all kinds of fun. We had some of this baby come in. And a lot of times with kids, what happens is that the grandmothers, right, make the daughters bring the grandkids in. I don't know about you guys, but that happens a lot, right? Why is that? Well, because grandma hears daughter situation with baby, right? And grandma thinks, been there, done that, right? Baby's had ear infections, baby's colicky, baby's spitting up, baby's whatever. And grandma says, instead of, because the daughter's like, well, I go to the doctor and everything. And grandma's like, no, try chiropractic. So anyway, we had this, and this happens all the time, but so this gal named Janet. And Janet is just like, all the time, she's just chatterbox. So she's chatting about her daughter who has a colicky baby. And it's like 6 or 7 visits. She keeps chatting about colicky baby. Like, just bring the baby in, Well, then it turns in the baby gets colic medication, right? They go to the pediatrician, gets colic medication. The colic medication turns the baby constipated, right? Now the story turns into the baby's constipated. So this baby finally, baby comes in. The daughter is like totally skeptical, does not want to be there at all, right? So Janet, grandmother, says, just it's always like very dramatic, and it's like, oh, geez, a little much. So we adjust the baby, right? Baby's constipated 2 weeks, no bowel movement for 2 weeks, right? Baby's like maybe 7 weeks old. I don't know, this was probably about the same age. So we adjust the baby. How do we adjust the baby? Very gently, right? So in our office, we do a technique where this is the team member. Sometimes the mother will hold the baby up. We do a very technique. There's lots of techniques, but one we do is we do a very gentle, specific upper cervical technique. And the team member or the mother holds the baby up just like this. And you can see the back of the baby faces me. We'll just check the baby, tickle the baby a little bit, kind of get it relaxed. When the legs drop down, we actually check the leg length. We check the posture of the head, and we apply gentle pressure on the atlas. Right? Maybe 2 or 3 seconds. And then we recheck the legs. That's about it. Baby's a little older, sometimes we check the sacrum. And that's everything. So baby gets adjusted. Daughter's totally not into this at all. She's like this, I can't believe that we're doing this. Grandma's forcing it. They leave. They come back the next day and like, hey, how's baby? Daughter's like, not any better. Grandma's like, well, it takes a little time. We're all like, take out time. So we adjust the baby again. 3rd visit. How's baby? I knew this wasn't going to work. Like that kind of thing, right? You guys read that, right? The news going to work?
No.
All right, I didn't read that.
It always works.
All right, so after the 3rd adjustment, it's like maybe it was on Tuesday. It was like 3:30, 4 o'clock. We opened 3 o'clock. About 6 o'clock, one of the team members is like, "You gotta get the phone." I'm like, "Are you kidding me?" It's like place is packed out. No, Janet's on the phone. You gotta talk to her. I'm like, "Yo, Janet's the grandmother." So on the phone, she's like screaming, it's like, Janet, what's going on? What's going on? Oh, I never believe what happened. Janet had a dentist appointment. Grandma had a dentist appointment, right? You know, they travel together because the daughter's like, doesn't have a car, and there's all kinds of other drama going on in the train station like this. So the daughter goes up. They're at the dentist's office. Janet's in the chair, the dental chair, right? The baby starts pooping. Because the daughter's in reception with the baby. She's like coming back and gets she's pooping on a diaper. I mean, it just keeps coming. It was like poop everywhere. Janet actually had to like fold to the dentist. It was funny, this long story about how the dentist was flipping out because she like ran out of there. Janet's that kind of person, very dramatic, charismatic. She just like threw stuff off. And so awesome story about that, about how the baby pooped like 3 diapers full, and the rest is history. Baby's perfectly healthy. So that's the kind of stuff we see. It's fun, lots of fun stories about like that. So this is how we do kids, and you know, a lot of the docs here, you know, all of us are, you know, 20%, 25%, 30%. One of our best friends, Dr. Kowalski in Michigan, he's close to 50% of the kids of his practice was actually pediatrics, right? So lots of kids. And, you know, it gets crazy at times. You know, the kids do laps around the office. And we have another funny story. We had, I don't know if Mike was there at the time. This kid's on there, I'm like, in the back adjusting. This kid's like, we have an office that goes around like, you know, he goes like this, right? So like down here, exam rooms, adjusting, you go back out. It's like kind of a horseshoe style. This little girl, like 8 years old, is just running loops around the office, screaming her head off, right? So, but you know, I'm kind of like, honestly, you know, I'm like, kids are like, you know, for me, it's like so, you know. Because I'm like, you know. So I love Justin, but you know, sometimes it's like they're off the hook. I'm like, get him out of here. So anyway, so I go back to the phone. I'm like, someone needs to get that kid out of this office. You know, I'm like, who is this kid? Because I thought it was someone's kid that wasn't a practice member, because I'd never seen the girl before. I was like, someone just brought this friend of the family in. It's like, you guys need to get this person just. So eventually, the truth is that this girl was autistic, and she was like autistic spectrum to the 10th degree. And so she's running laps around the office, screaming stuff like, I don't know. She was like gibberish and all kinds of stuff. I don't know if anybody have experience with autistic kids at all. You know, I mean, I don't personally in my family, but in the practice, we have a lot of experience with autistic kids. It was crazy. It was insane. The girls held her down, did an assessment the best they could. We did take an X-ray of her, a neck X-ray of her, best we could. I mean, it took some time. Here's the story. Within 6 months, she went from, being just really dysfunctional, so like special education dysfunctional, like pads in the walls, that kind of room, schoolroom, like teacher ratio, like 1 teacher to like 2 students, that kind of thing. 6 months, she actually got to like the next level where it's like semi-normal. Within a year and a half, she was actually in normal school. And it was amazing. I mean, she came a lot of visits, and again, grandma, mother was involved too. But grandma was very diligent in getting these kids checked. So it's fun to get the kids checked, and but again, the big thing with children is this: is that relationships are built on trust. So, you know, and I don't know how you are, but you know, you think maybe this idea where the kids just like they just bring the kids in, like, you know, the six week old, 6 months old. Here you go, have my baby, right? Take care of the baby, right, Dr. Brian? But unfortunately, it's not that way a lot of times. And I'm not gonna be dishonest with you tonight. I have people in my practice, and we educate them to the nth degree. We have kids running around getting adjusted. I have people in my practice, their kids still don't get adjusted, right? I mean, unfortunately, there still are some that as much education they get, they still don't trust us or have value enough. There's 2 things, trust and value, to get their children adjusted. However, our goal is to do as much as possible. Eric, which way does this go? This way? There we go. Is that the right way?
Oh, right, yep.
Okay, cool. So the big thing is education. That's one of the keys. This is my lovely wife, and this is what we've talked about is the doctor's report. So you can see at the doctor's report, there's no kids, right? Now, we have babysitting, and we actually put the kids like in the back. They watch VeggieTales. So at our doctor's report, we say bring the whole family. The kids go in the back, and if they're older, they get educated by a chiropractic. Otherwise, they watch movies, or we have a playground in the back. They go outside and play playground. But it's crucial that we have an educational process to make the parents even understand why, A, they should be under chiropractic care, right? And B, why they should get the family checked. Now, it makes sense to all of us. It makes perfect sense to us. It does to me. I mean, maybe it's starting to make sense to you, like Dr. Eric said. He never knew the first thing about kids. I mean, you know, when I was in chiropractic school, I didn't have children. So it's like it's easy to talk about kids, but you don't really have kids. It's kind of a disconnect, right? I have a 4 and 7-year-old now, so I have a little better understanding of children. But it's kind of like it can be a little disconnect. But so it's crucial that there's actually, this is my wife, by the way, Dr. Amanda. So this is the reception area office. So we're educating with X-rays. Someone said about X-rays. We don't X-ray everyone, but we do X-ray a high percentage of people. It depends on your technique, right? I don't know what techniques they teach at NYCC. Diversified. Any other ones or? Gonstead, okay. Anything else? Okay, Thompson, Little Thompson. Activator. Okay, some different techniques, and I don't know if there's any clubs or not. So depending on what technique you do, we're like a Gonstead for cervical based. So in our techniques, it relies on X-ray a lot for the analysis. So, all right, so that's that. That's fun. So we want to tell the truth, right? We got to tell them the truth. And what we talk about one of the biggest reasons kids should get adjusted is because of the birth trauma, right? Anybody ever heard of birth trauma? Don't know about this? They teach us in school at all? Okay. You guys know this already? Okay. Just skip this slide. So what we do is we talk. Actually, we use these are forceps, right? So what we do is we scare the hell out of the parents, basically. Actually, you know what? Almost every doctor's report, almost everyone, but a lot of them, parents will be like, I know exactly why my child had recurrent ear infections now because, and a lot of times the moms don't know what happened. The dads will be like, dude, it was just like that, man. They'll be like, they'll just say, they won't be like, sometimes, but they should be like, I always wondered, because I saw that pull in the neck, and I always, in the back of my mind, I always wondered if that was hurting the child or not. But the doctor, was like, oh, it's okay, it's normal. So they kind of chalk it off, but in the back of their mind, it's like, because when the nurse, if it's a first-time baby, if the nurse or so gives you a baby, what do they say? Be careful with the baby's head and neck, right? Yeah, like an hour or 2 hours ago. If you ever read statistics on that, so C-section, I didn't know it's that high in New York. It's 60-some%, Eric?
Yeah,
Are you paying attention?
62%.
Okay, you paying attention?
Look at a picture of myself.
Okay. Hey, relationships are posted. Relationships are built on trust, so that's good. Thank you for being trustworthy. David, that picture you freaked your butt off was classic. Did you guys stop that? Yeah. That's a blackmail shot. Here. All right, so this is my wife. This is one of her team members, Cassandra. So all right, so we talk about, I don't know if you know, on national average, the most, and ladies, I don't know if you know this now, the most commonly performed surgery on women now is C-section. Right? So, on the average, United States averages 34% of babies actually are born C-section now. So I didn't know that. I thought it was high in Georgia. 30%. So one way is C-section. Most C-sections, the baby receives a grade 2 whiplash injury. So we have. So when I say, how many parents here think that could cause interference of the baby's atlas or neck? How many? So this is like to the back. This is the end of our doctor's report. All right. So we talked about chiropractic. Now we're bringing it all around so the kids get in check. All right. So then we talk about that. We talk about the forceps, right? And we talk about vacuum extraction. You guys familiar with vacuum extraction a little bit? A cone-headed baby, where they actually screw. They actually use a screw. They actually put a screw into the baby's scalp, right? And they suck the baby out. So 50% of babies. Depends on the state, but approximately 50% of babies are born either C-section, forceps, or vacuum extraction. So without a doubt, we can all agree that this is how I'm talking to the practice members, right? Because a lot of them, obviously a lot of them have C-sections, for a fact. They know all their friends have C-sections, right? And then we talk about how the baby, right? How should babies be born? 2 or 3 generations ago, we have a spine. We talk about the baby, right? Squatting, descending. Now how are you? Right? You're in the hospital bed. And your hospital bed, so now you're working against gravity, and then they tell you in the hospital no one wants to have any pain, right? All the girlfriends tell when they're going to pregnancy, oh, you don't want to have any pain because that's not normal. So we get an epidural. What does the epidural do, ladies? You can't do anything, right? Yeah. So it numbs you, but now because you're numb, now you don't know when to push, right? It's the same process we're going through practice members. So here you are, ladies. You're in the hospital bed, right? You're trying to push against gravity, which makes it difficult. Now they numb you. Now you don't know when to push. So now the birth starts to lag. So because the birth's lagging, now we do what? There's one more step in most cases. And you haven't seen it yet, you guys see the movie called Business of Being Born? Anybody seen that? Okay, check it out. just for your own knowledge of how, kind of. But anyway, they give you something called Pitocin. Ever heard Pitocin before? Right? Or PIT, they call it. So what Pitocin is, and I know if you're kind of some of you are getting in the age, or if you have girlfriends, they say, oh, well, you may say, oh, yeah, you're being nice, you hear they had a C-section, right? They say, well, not you, like, oh, you had a C-section, but they'll say, well, I had to have a C-section because it was fetal distress syndrome. You've heard that before, right? Very common, right, ladies in C-section. One of the reasons they have fetal distress is why? Because the Pitocin does what? Pitocin starts contractions, right? You can't actually feel the contractions, so you're trying to figure out when to push. The baby's inside, all these contractions on the baby. What happens to the baby? Gets stressed, blood pressure goes up. They say, uh-oh, time for C-section, and now you know the rest of the story. So, point is this: we tell them the truth. We teach them that their children need to get adjusted, and what we say is this: at the minimum, right, have your children and toddlers checked for interference. So in our offices, we use something called a heat reading instrument. Anybody ever hear of it's called a thermal or EMG readings? Okay, so that's fine. All right, so we got to genuinely care, right? Couple of tests. Actually, Dr. Michael was with me on this one a couple years ago. And we've done this. So this is actually in the hospital. Mom was at a birthing center. She was planning on having an amazing natural birth, and things happened. She ended up having a C-section at a birthing center. So this is at the hospital. She called me. She's like, "You gotta come up." Remember that, Michael?
Yeah, 2 hours away. You're like, "You
Yeah.
want to go adjust the baby?" I said, "Hell yeah."
Yeah.
So you go up there and you're like, "Here, hold the camera." I'm like, "What the hell?"
Yeah. So this is like 2 hours away at a birthing center. So the point is this: is that you have to genuinely care, right? So, it's like you have a big talk about how you care in your office, but when they call, do you go the extra mile? Right? Do you genuinely care? Right? It's easy to talk big in your office. Like, oh yeah, whatever you need, let me know. Here's my cell phone. It's like, oh shoot, they just called me. It's like 2 hours away. Right, Dr. Brian? It's like kids, family, Michael wants to hang out. You go, right? All right, this is another one. Again, we went to her house. She had now this one had a normal hospital birth. I think it was a vaginal birth. It went great. This is actually her house, maybe 2 days after her birth. And so she called me. She said, "Hey, will you come over to the house and adjust the baby?" See, when they let you check their babies at 2 days old, you officially build trust, right? That's a good sign you build trust. This one here is a fun one. She actually had a home birth, and she went. This is like I don't know, man, 18 hours after the birth. This is at her home too. So a key part is actually teaching them, building trust, genuinely caring, and actually following through with what you said. Key. All right, here's some great families. If they knew what you knew, they would do what you do. Right? You heard that line many times, right, Brian? This is actually a line Dr. Chet Temple says. I've heard it said years ago. If they knew what you knew, if they knew what we knew, they would do what we do, without a doubt. Who's going to adjust their children here? All of us, right? Who's going to adjust their spouses, everything like that, kind of thing? Sure. So these are just pictures of families that have gotten adjusted, and just, all kinds of great. Actually, this is the same. This is the one. Remember the last one at the house? This is her. That baby. And her next one she had. This is my wife. Amanda is in the office. But if they knew so you have to teach them what you know, right? The tough part is that you can't jam it down their throats. It takes time and repetition to learn this. So in our offices, the doctor's report is just the beginning. Every time they come into our offices, what we're doing is we're handing them a testimonial. Like Thursday, there was a testimonial. Actually, Thursday we do health articles. The health article on Thursday was about, I'm trying to remember what it was, yesterday. It was about, I don't even know what it's about, but it was a good article. I think it was about fevers. We were talking about fevers, right? But so 3 days a week we talk about testimonials. One day we do health articles. So we're actually handing them testimonials about practice members. Because why do we hand them testimonials every time again? If they're in your office for 15 minutes, let's say, 20 minutes, they wait a couple minutes, they get adjusted, they're out the way, that's the only chance of their whole week, if they're only there once, that they're actually going to get an education about health from the inside out. Everything else they hear on TV, every thread on TV is what? Pharmaceutical drug ad. At TV, on the internet, their friends, right? Everybody talking how sick they are, how they're at the hospital, how they need drugs, pharmaceuticals, they're on these drugs. Every other instance in their life, they're going to hear about outside in, outside in, outside in, outside in. It's and us too. Yeah. You hear all this stuff. So when they're in your office, you have to take advantage of the fact that you're there to teach them chiropractic. You're there to educate them that healing comes not from the outside in, but from the inside out. Here's a quick common sense thing. If health came in a bottle, right, a pill bottle, then a lot of people we know should be really healthy by now, right? Because they sure do have a lot of pill bottles. The reverse is true. This is the truth. Is that the people with the most pill bottles, what are they?
Sick.
And so it makes common sense, doesn't it? If they know what we knew, they do what we do. They just don't know what we know. So that's why it's a constant repetition of teaching and educating our practitioners, so we can have all kinds of families that get the big idea of chiropractic and one lifetime care. I've been getting adjusted for 21 years. Right? I haven't taken a drug, pharmaceutical, anything for 21 years. Dr. Amanda, it's been 15 years she's taking. My kids never take anything, right? Which you guys get. It's like, yeah, sure. I mean, we're gonna do everything possible. I mean, I don't know what wavelength you guys are on, but I know like Dr. Brian, you know, I mean, our kids are gonna get shots. They're not gonna take. I mean, they're not gonna take anything. Here's the deal in school right now. You say, well, yeah. My kids go to private school. One of the best private schools in the area. My daughter's in. She goes second grade. When she started kindergarten, it was like, hey, because you know kindergarten, I don't even know if you have kids in kindergarten. You graduate kindergarten, you can't take any toys to school, right? It's like last year pre-K, they start to like leave the toys in the bag. Kindergarten, it's like you can't bring toys to school. You make them put them in your bag or keep them at home. Well, about 2 months into school, it was like November. Alyssa said, my daughter Alyssa, she's 7 now in kindergarten. She was, I guess, 5 years old. And she said, oh, I have to bring my teddy bear tomorrow. Oh, that's funny. I didn't think much about it. So the next morning, we were talking. I said, well, listen, tell me, why are you bringing the teddy bear? Me and Amanda were talking to her. We were having breakfast. And she said, well, yeah, I have to. I said, I thought you can't bring toys to school. What's going on? You know, kind of just having fun with her. She said, well, Daddy, I don't really, I'm kind of scared about it. I mean, what are you scared about, honey? Because, you know, she knows we teach her about drugs and everything. And we teach her, you know, common sense. You can even teach a 4- and 5-year-old common sense about medication and drugs. She said, well, we're giving our teddy bears flu shots today at school, right? Kindergarten. If you don't think they're teaching our kids, and this is a great private school, they're teaching our kids about pharmaceuticals and drugs in school. Can you believe that? They're taking their teddy bears in, and all the kids give their teddy bears a flu shot to teach the kids that they need flu shots too. It's a sad world out there. We've got a lot of work to do. All right, so this is doing what we do best, right? Removing interference. This is what we do. You know, we check children. It's a very simple, easy process. You know, for us, and with our technique, and with these guys too, you know, family comes in, they go in the adjustment room. I mean, check a family of 3 or 4 or 5 people, you know, mom and dad, or mom and 3 kids. It only takes a few minutes, right? So, and most chiropractic techniques, that's the way we're taught. You know, your team members are talking chiropractic. In our reception, there's TVs talking about chiropractic. All the pictures are chiropractic. All the literature is chiropractic, right? The music is praise and worship. They come back. You know, you don't pray. You can play rock. You can play rock and roll if you want. You play where you want. I have friends that play like jazz or like upbeat instrumental music. You can play where you want. You can have it silent. You know. So what we do is we check things, check the family, and so they come in, they get adjusted. A couple minutes, they're on their way. Here's the deal. I don't know about you, and I know some of you may have kids, some of you may not. Who has kids in the room? What's right? Mom back there, right? So how many kids you have? 3. How old are they?
1-year-old, 2-year-old.
Perfect. What she doesn't want to do is she definitely doesn't want to take your kids to a doctor's office where they're going to be there for 45 minutes or an hour. Do you? Kids are going to tear the wallpaper off the walls. I mean, the toilet paper will be across. So people love nothing more than coming in, checking in, getting adjusted, getting health, and guess what? They're in and out in 15 minutes or less. 12 minutes, 10 minutes, right? I've got news for you. You know where their next stop is? McDonald's. I hear all the kids all the time. I mean, we're talking health, and right, come on, man, you back me up, right? It's like right across the road. Yeah. It's like, see, kids, yeah, they get stickers, or obviously we do lollipops sometimes. I want to do stickers. My team wants to do lollipops. Lollipops are messy. I let the team do what they want. I've been pushing for stickers for a while now, Michael, and they won't let me have it back.
Parents will be like, now listen, if you lay down and get adjusted quietly,
we can stop and get you happy. I'm like, Mom, it's a good time.
So, I mean, you know, so here's the deal. You can teach people so many different things, right? And then, you know, I mean, look, I'm Mr. Organic. I mean, honestly, myself and my wife written a book about all this stuff. We have a book called Baby Design by God, Woman Design. I mean, I'm actually, like, did you know I'm an author? We've been writing a series of books on health. But the truth is that, you know, you only have so much time in your practice to do so many things. And, you know, if you Google nutrition on internet, you like put in nutrition or omega-3 or whatever you put in, how many hits do you get? Gazillions. If you put in chiropractic, you get gazillions too. But the problem is if you put in chiropractic, you start looking at some of the posts, what are they about? A lot of times they're not necessarily actually about adjusting and, you know, like adjusting. They're about what? They're about everything else. So the point is this, is that people need what we have, right? So what do? We talk about nutrition. We talk about stuff. We just work with power partners in our community. I got power partners where I have, you know, personal trainers we work with. You know, that's like, man, that's a really good question, Joe. Sounds like you need to talk to Corey. Corey's my power partner when it comes to personal trainer and fitness. So I refer him there, right? Because Corey's a personal trainer. He's like the best in my area. I'm not a personal trainer, so what I do is I want the best for my practice member. I focus on specific scientific chiropractic care. I give them what they need. And if they need personal fitness, or if they need if they have a thyroid dysfunction for 20 years, they need to get adjusted, right? But they may also need someone like a naturopath. Like I see a naturopath. I send them to a naturopath who specializes in thyroid work. Because I don't have 2 hours to give them a stool sample and take blood work. I mean, I just don't. What I want to do is I want to remove interference as much as possible because that's what they don't get anywhere else. Does that make sense? Separate and distinct. All right, so let's finish up here with some testimonials. These are fun. Just some kids in the office, children breathing better. This little kiddo, funny why people come in. His actually interesting story. His mother came in because of auto accident. Right, mom's an auto accident. Had no idea. Auto accident, never been to chiropractor before. Right. So after coming to a doctor's report, we were talking about asthma and different things, and she says, "Huh, you know, my son has asthma." You know, and there's a couple of visits went by, and then finally she decided to bring him and get evaluated. We did a nerve check on him. He had a lot of red. Guess where? Upper back, right? Nerves, the lungs. She got him checked. He came in. He was on. I don't know what this like. He's here. I know it's on here somewhere. He was on. Oh, here it is. Albuterol, Flovent, Flonase, Similar, and Claritin. 5 different drugs for asthma, right? And whatever it is, within, you know, I think 2-3 months, he was totally cleared out. Came in because of auto accident. If we wouldn't have told her about, if she wouldn't have come to typical chiropractic office, treat her for auto accident, this whole deal, range of motion adjustment, therapies, other, guess what? Never got chiropractic care. Her son, right? But because we educated, we told them a little about, because you know, you can only get so much, but they started to understand what we know. Son got checked. This one actually just happened. This couple weeks ago, we got the testimonial. It is a sad story. Mother's not involved in the picture. The grandparents are like 70. I mean, can you imagine having a kindergarten? I think she's kindergarten testimony. She's kindergarten. She's flunked. She got thrown out of kindergarten twice because of her behavior. Can you imagine being like grandmother's like 70, grandmother's like 68? Can you imagine having a 6-year-old like ballistic? I mean, it's hard enough to have kids. So they're like hopeless, man. I don't even know how they got their office, honestly. Someone brought them in. I think we did a church talk, and they come from like over a half hour away. They showed up. I'm like, man. I mean, honestly, they're like, they don't have much. I mean, they could barely afford anything, transportation to get their office. They started to get value. Long story short is, I'm going to say her grandmother had to go to her school 95 days in a row because Jakaya would not stay in her seat. All kinds of stuff. Within 6 weeks, she was like a totally different child. The kindergarten teacher asked the grandmother what medications she had started, right? Because it's like they're thinking meds, chiropractic, cool stuff. Love it. All right, this one's a very common one, colicky baby, right? Interesting thing here, this little guy, 6 weeks old, colicky baby. Mother brought the baby in. A couple adjustments, very common. 4, 5, 6 adjustments. Cogs whipped, baby's better. The mother ends up being a team member about a year later. Right? Gets a big idea of chiropractic, looking for a job. She's like, oh, I'd love to work for you guys. Because she's a Jesus lover. We're Jesus lovers. She loved Jesus, and she came in the office, and the rest is history. This one here, this one's awesome too. This is actually a book that from the testimony of the book that myself and my wife written. They come from, I don't know how she found us on the internet. She Googled pediatrics, chiropractic. They drive from over an hour away. The child has fevers, right? A low-grade fever has like a 100 to 101, 6 weeks straight. I mean, they went everywhere in Atlanta, all the hospitals, everything, because, you know, low-grade fever, everybody's freaking out. Baby has wouldn't come down. So this is so funny. We were in Connecticut. Me and Michael were in Connecticut. This is like 2-3 years ago. So she comes in with the baby from like an hour away, right? Her father comes with her. Husband's working. Her father's like 6'4". He's like 7, right? He's like this the whole time, right? He's like, they've been to hospitals, all that. So he's like this. I was like, this dude's serious, right? So, you know, we like, hey, good to see y'all, you know, this is the first time there. So, you know, they hold the baby up, right? So this is the deal. Oh, okay, you know, listen to me, you have to tell me the whole story, you know, because this is a serious situation. You know, maybe like 45 seconds a minute, she kind of further explains what's going on. Okay, great, we definitely get help. One of the team members will hold the baby up. We do this, we adjust the baby, a couple seconds. Baby's gonna be great, great. That was it, right? The grandpa's like this, he's like stone-faced, like, you know, because, you know, they've been in these hospitals, doctors, tests, poking and prodding and all this stuff for months, right? Because this was going on. I mean, this is the escalator, it's the low-grade fever that had ear infections for a long time. He goes, "Are you telling me it's going to be better?" I'm like, "Yes, sir. The baby will be better." He's like, he just kind of said something like, "It better," like it kind of like it better be kind of thing. You know what I mean? 6'4". I was like, yeah, I heard this situation before. It's like this. I'm like, here's my cell phone number. Call me. Right? I'm going out of town. Call me if anything comes up. Next day, I'm in Connecticut. Right? It's the grandfather. Guess what happened? No.
Got worse.
Got worse. I want to. He's like, it wasn't me. It's like, you know, we've got a situation. The fever's up to like 102, right? And now it's riding like towards 103. Now, what is that though? Eric talked about answers, right? So, you know, walking him. You know, now this is a little longer conversation. He goes on the phone. I got mom on the phone. It's like 4 or 5 minutes. I'm explaining to him about healing sensations that you get adjusted. Guess what happens sometimes? You can escalate a little bit. Fever, especially the fever. Monday morning, I see him. Baby slept Sunday night like I hadn't slept in weeks. Fever's gone. I mean, the rest is history. I mean, baby's like, and you know, she like cry. I mean, she's like 3 or 4 weeks later. I mean, I just get emotional. She's like, and her husband starts crying about it in the office. That you know, because they're like freaking life was turned upside down about this child. I mean, you know. So anyway, it was amazing, amazing testimony. Here's the deal. I'm not the healer, right? You're not the healer. Who's the healer? Right? God put an innate intelligence inside of us that controls and coordinates everything. And we're really blessed as chiropractors because guess what? When we adjust, we do the littlest part of the job. We let the body heal itself. Right? Even sometimes when we screw up, I mean, these guys admit too. It's like, I mean, there's been times in the last 15 years, I'm going to admit it. These guys won't admit it. I'll admit it for them. I was like, I adjust them, Atlas. I look at the chart, I'm like, how did it was the wrong side, wrong listing, right? I mean, very infrequent, but it's happened before. I'm going to be honest, right? Transparent. Crazy thing, they'll come back, and they'll be like, man, that last adjustment. Right, ever happened to you? He's going to say no, okay. He's not going to admit it. I'm admitting it on a Google Hangout. They'll come back and they'll be like, that was like the most amazing night's sleep. Like, wow, let me check your listing right for All right, so go back to like never happened. This was fun. Febrile seizures. I didn't even know what febrile seizures were. Actually, I was like, Amanda, because Amanda, my wife, she's a smart one. I call her Amandapedia. She's my Amandapedia. I'm like, oh, cool, febrile seizures. What's febrile seizures? I mean, I forgot. I don't know. Does anybody know what febrile seizures are? You guys know in school, right? Febrile seizures are like when they have like fever gets so high they have a seizure. Okay. I didn't know that. I forgot it. This baby, she had taken so many antibiotics, her breath stunk. That was grandmother's major complaint. When the mother's freaking about seizures, the grandmother's like, she stinks, you know, because her digestive system is so stripped of antibiotics. Her breath stunk. It was horrible. It was like Michael's breath, except he's got 30 years on this kid. Anyway, long story short, love it. It's fun. So here we see we did complimentary assessment. Well, plus, you know, we tell people. So this is actually these are 8.5 by 11. What we're handing out to all the practice members all the time, encouraging them about chiropractic, building them up, giving them hope. Last one, this one's fun too. Michael talked about how we get women pregnant in the practice. This is one I'm averaging about. My actually average was a little lower last year. Kind of wrecking my average. I'm averaging about 7 to 8 women a year getting pregnant. So, that's a joke. Michael took my joke. This is one of them. She came in, she referred in, she was having blackout spells, falling down, knocking out. That was a major thing. Actually, she couldn't get pregnant. They were married 8 years. After 3 months of chiropractic care, whoop, had a baby. Awesome. And this one here, that's in my pocket, right? I won't go back on you. Anyway, so listen, here's the deal. I'm gonna have Dr. Mike come up. It's fun. The point is that practice, right? It can be challenging and a lot of work, but it's also very satisfying and rewarding. And I know that's what each of you want. I mean, you want a rewarding set. There's nothing worse. I mean, even happens to us. It's like it was like Wednesday, and it was like there was literally 15 minutes that no one was in my office. I mean, it was like I was about to go insane, right? There's nothing more fun than just going from room to room, adjusting kids, adjusting families, adjusting old people. I mean, everybody's like, kids. Hey, and old people need reinforcement room too, don't they? Grandma and grandpa. There's nothing more fun than adjusting families, adjusting kids, adjusting these people. And everybody's just, loving on you, having a good time. Dr. Michael, come on up, buddy. You're next. Dr. Michael.
That was pretty good, yes.
Dr. Michael is here to tell you about himself. I'm going to brag him a little bit.
He's here to tell about himself?
You already did a little bit. I want to tell you about him. Don't forget that Dr. Michael just hit his 2-year mark in practice. 2 years. So he was in his seats like this just 2 years ago. He told you about some of his trials and tribulations with boards. Maybe did you mention boards?
I didn't tell boards.
Yeah, I mean,
that's a whole other story.
That's a whole other story about failing boards multiple times, and doing that. But hey, those things happen. So, but the thing is that God can change your obstacles into opportunities, right? And which is totally what happened to you. Obstacle became an opportunity. Yeah. We hooked up, and fastest growing chiropractor in the history of chiropractic, 1,300 visits in 12 months. Right? Him and his wife, eyeballs were popping out. I don't necessarily recommend that for any of you here.
I wouldn't either.
Yeah, I mean, you
I
wouldn't
didn't
either.
have sex for 12 months straight.
Yeah, so
we had to didn't have time.
Didn't have time.
And Broward had time just because of his great.
So enjoy.
All right, guys. So I've got about 4 minutes, and so I'm going to really give you guys a quick notes. As he never speaks at any of these things, really does like kind of the introductions and stuff like that. And so listening to him share again was really awesome for me because he's just like a wealth of information. I mean, you can kind of like just overlook some of the testimonials and just some of the little finer things that he does when he's communicating to families and parents and stuff, because it's like, if you want us to have a pediatric practice, it's not like this, you just open it up and you say that you're a pediatric chiropractor, people just drop babies in your lap. It just doesn't happen. In fact, you're more like, where the hell's your kid? You tell me you keep coming in here, or they bring them in, they're getting adjusted, and the kid's sitting right there, it's like sick as a dog. You're like, man, if I was a vet, I'd have that thing put down. But yeah, you're not getting it checked, and you see kids in and out the door all day long getting well, and they see the testimonials, and we capture those things in video, and we put them up and stuff in the office. You're like, still you're not getting it, and so it just doesn't happen. It's a process, and it's multi-layered, okay? Now, I know a couple of you guys have heard my joke from previous event, right? But I'm going to share it here. I'm going to share Logan, and then I'm never going to share this joke again, okay? So a man walks into the bar. This has nothing to do with freaking chiropractic. So that's what we're going to do it. Man walks into the bar, and he sees a guy sitting at the bar. The guy, I just saw that little girl back there. I was going to say maybe we should take her out, but it's not really dirty. So man's sitting at the bar, and he sees this guy sitting at the bar, and he's got a lamp and a box. So he sits down next to him, he orders a drink, and he says, man, what's in the box? He takes the lid off the box. He pulls out a little miniature grand piano, sets it down on the bar top, pulls out a little tiny piano bench and sets it down, and this little tiny man gets up, crawls out of the box, and sits down at the piano and plays this amazing song on the piano. Guy goes, where'd you get that? I want one. So he slides him the lamp, says, rub it. So the guy rubs the lamp, and all of a sudden the bar fills up with $1 million. He said, what the hell? He goes, I didn't ask for $1 million. He goes, do you think that I asked for a 10-inch penis? To build a cash practice, that had nothing to do with it. To build a cash practice, you need to be extremely clear in your message, right? You have to be extremely clear in what you're delivering. You have to be clear within yourself. You have to create clarity for your team. You have to create clarity for your practice members, okay? Or let me say this, for your potential practice members, right? there's a saying, and it's a phenomenal saying, that a confused consumer does not buy. You want to write that down. A confused consumer does not buy. A confused consumer does not buy. You want to set yourself apart, and this is a very, and I don't sit in your seats, so I cannot pretend to judge what it's like to be at NYCC compared to where I grew up in chiropractic school. When we were at LACC recently, it's a totally different ballgame, guys. I mean, the philosophy's there. When I went to take part 4 boards, when he was talking about what I failed, I only failed one thing, one section of a part of a board, and I failed it 2 times with the same exact score, which was a 371 for general anatomy, and it takes a 375 to pass it. Okay, it's less than a percentage of a question. I had the same exact score twice. And when you fail general anatomy, which I excelled at in school, but for some reason, we know what I did not excel in? It's freaking microbiology. I sucked, the big one. And I had to take that stupid thing, and on boards, I smoked it, you know what I mean? But in general anatomy, more people do well in general anatomy, so that curve is kind of screwed up a little bit. I just kept freaking just missing it. Where everyone sucks in microbiology, so you got this huge curve, and I'm just riding the wave. I was like freaking just rocking on that sucker. And so with general anatomy, I had 371 twice. It sucked. But when you fail general anatomy, see, you can take part 2, but you can't take 3 and 4 because you haven't passed part 1. So it delayed me a significant amount of time in school because I had to wait to pass general anatomy. Then all of a sudden it unlocked the opportunity for me to take part 3 and take part 4. And I rocked those. There's just that one hang up, but that really the core of that general anatomy education took place in that first year and a half of education. So remember, I was C for chiropractic, right? So I didn't really own it, and so then it got exposed on national boards, right? And so anyway, that's where those setbacks came in, and you know, I made a decision at that point in my life that my failures were going to take place in school, and they were not going to take place in practice. Unfortunately, for maybe some people in this room, just being honest truth, and for many people in your life, their failures are going to take place in practice. They're going to excel through school. So many of you guys, you know what I mean, you're in great shape, you're beautiful, everyone's dressed very, very well. There's a couple of guys that, you know, so you know, you're going to, mostly it's the Canadian people because they're confused when it comes to style. Like, I'm just kidding. Gives each other. So, it's the dudes you guys are with. I'm just kidding, we're both wearing plaid. How could you be screwed up? So it's like we have it all together, but then when we get out in practice, weaknesses will be exposed. Practice exposes weakness. Practice exposes weakness. It can be weak in your convictions, right? If your heels are not dug in for chiropractic, bro, when they come and push back, you will fall. I assure you. It's a fact, guys. I watch all the time. You go through school, you guys all know who the movers and the shakers are in your quarter or your tri, right? And like the people that are outspoken on campus for maybe like certain different philosophies in chiropractic. You know what I'm talking about? You're like the guy that's in your tri, you're like, oh my gosh, I want to choke that douche. You know what I mean? It's like that guy. There's like the guy that when you get to go around the class, you all like, you can stand up and introduce who you are, and you're like, hi, I'm Michael, I'm from Maine, and you know what I mean? You know, I like long walks on the beach, you know what I mean, pina coladas, you know, that kind of thing. And this guy goes up, and I'm going to be the world's greatest chiropractor. You know, like that guy. I'm like, somebody kicked that guy in the nuts for me. And I'm like, that's what I want, right? I mean, it's like that guy. And then you find out that he's on his 3rd job in chiropractic because he never did anything but got really good grades in school, but didn't prepare to be a phenomenal chiropractor. Whatever that chiropractic dream of yours is. I mean, if you want to, so let's get some understanding. Who wants to open a practice out of school? Okay, cool. Who's not sure? That's cool too, right? I mean, who wants to be an associate? There's like people here that say, I want to be an associate, okay? Who wants to be a franchiser, like franchisee, like own a franchise? Okay, no, but one, maybe, possibly, cool, that's cool. I mean, there's all kinds of walks. It doesn't matter what your vision is, but you have to own that vision. Here's where it's a problem. This is where it's a problem, is that you get forced into a corner, you get backed into a corner, you get back into the corner because you're not prepared, and now all of a sudden graduation's upon you, and you say, oh my gosh, I've got to make a choice out of fear. I've got to make a choice out of lack of preparation. I wanted to have my own practice, but because I did not do what it took to prepare, now I have to be an associate. I'm not living my sole purpose. Or I wanted to be an associate, but I didn't prepare. Nobody will hire me, or I don't have the credentials or the experience or the resume to really say I'm a rock star. And so you get forced into signing on the dotted line for a franchise because they'll take anybody. They'll take anyone. There's no credit qualifications. We have friends that are phenomenal chiropractors and can't get qualified for a loan, but would pay back that loan so fast, right, that we would give them the money, right? And we have. Jeremy's giving money to multiple people. Right? I got somebody requested 50 grand from me today. Right? You go kick rocks because he sucks, so I'm not going to give it to him. No, I'm just kidding. He's a great guy. But, right, you were like, maybe we should start a bank. That's what we're all talking about. Like, maybe we should come up with money and start capitalizing people. Right? But you don't have to qualify to sign the dotted line for a franchise. I freaking assure you, they'll take anyone. And they'll take you right to another $300,000, $400,000 in debt. Right? That's a scary place to be because you don't have any more preparation, right? You have more debt, but not any more preparation to deliver on the debt. So my point is this: is just get freaking prepared. Because this guy reached out to me. I went to school with him. He had a condo next to me. He had this awesome dog. He sends me his private message. He goes, "Hey man, I'm looking for an association." I'm thinking he's coming to me, like looking at me, but he knows better, right? Because we're very, very particular, man. I mean, we've created something that we're very protective over. All right, we've created a movement in our practice. I mean, that I'm just not going to let anyone walk in, anyone come in and see it, but no one's going to just get to walk in and walk under that flag and that covering, right? You're going to have to be a rock star. So he says, I'm looking for an associateship. So I very quickly realized that he wasn't even thinking about approaching me to work with me. And he says, I'm not looking for somebody that what I was doing is falling through. I mean, you'll hear so many of your friends be like, "Oh, I got the dream job right out of school. I got my dream job." Then you find out like 6 months later, it's gone to crap. Why? Because there's a saying in chiropractors eat their young. We want to stop that right now. Has anyone heard that saying? Chiropractors eat their young? Yeah, and it's good. I'm glad you did. You got to protect yourself a little bit because that's not always true. But it is common. It is common, okay? And the deal is this, is you need to have your future by the balls. Right on? I'm kind of raw. I'm kind of upfront. I mean, I'll tell you the truth, okay? So you need to have it by the balls. So, or the plums. So let's just say plums. Can we say plums?
Yes.
Robert, listen, that was freaking funny. You missed it. We're having your future by the plums.
Yes.
Okay. So get him with a light blue shoe on him. Oh, freaking skit. I'm sorry. I shouldn't say inside jokes, but Robert's got little plums. So here we go. So on the plums. Okay, so you have your future that way, so that when you come to the day to make a decision, you can pick your future, right? You can literally write your ticket. When they handed me, I'll never forget this, guys, an epic experience, right? Came up from the right side of the stage if you're on it, left side if you're facing it. They called my name and they butchered it because the lady that was doing it's a bitch. And so she was the one that kicked me out of school to give me a chance to redeem myself. And I went over her head and she could suck. So walking across that thing, they announced my name, they butchered it, and I'm Viscarelli, man. I mean, we got some Italians here. It's freaking New York, right? Right? I'm Sicilian, so I'm better than you. But they handed me my diploma, and I literally felt like they handed me the golden ticket. Right? You're right. I mean, they like gave me. I was like, man, there's no ceiling on my future. Nobody can stop me now. There's no way that they can limit my impact. That's where you want to be. Not being like, holy crap, what do I do now? That's not where you want to be, right? I mean, but unfortunately, some of us are going to be there, right? You want to like be like, man, I got this, right? Because you've done so. It's not just a degree, guys. Because let me say this. So this guy asked me, he's looking for an associateship. This is classic. He goes, I'm not looking for. This is about cash practice. I'm not looking for. I'm flowing right now. So I'm not looking for a job where a chiropractor wants me to advance his business or build it. I'm not looking for a job where he wants me to work all the hours. I'm not looking for a job that he wants me to do all the work. I'm not looking for a job that he wants me to do any marketing. I'm not looking for a job that he wants me to do any of the administrative or office management work. He goes, I just want to adjust and work about 3 days a week. I was like, well, bro, you better start collecting unemployment. Because that doesn't exist. It doesn't really exist. Because when you're an associate, guess what you have to deliver? The goods. Right? Yeah, Rick's going, hell yeah. Right? You still need to put butts in the seats. You still need to convert them into practice members, right? That they're paying for their care, right? Whether it's a copay for insurance, or whether it's a cash practice. You need to be able to diagnose. You need to be able to adjust effectively. You need to be able to educate, build referrals, market, do all those things. work hours. It's like, heck, I'm going to work my butt off to build this huge practice and then hire somebody, let them just ride the gravy train, right? My wife works when she's in there. Like, heck, I'm going to let some freaking young grad or student come in there and just ride the, you know what I mean? Doesn't exist. So if you're going to be an associate, you can be an sole practitioner or a franchise, you still got to be prepared. It's your freaking responsibility, right? Everyone's like, I hate this statement. You know, so many more days till you get to call me doctor. That's freaking so queer. I'm like, can I be honest? Are we in the same place? I was already honest, so I'm not going back. But you know what I mean? Like, it's like, that's stupid. Like, oh, I'm a doctor, like you automatically get respect. You do not. Actually, in fact, you get the degree that we're all pursuing, and some of us have, you actually will have less respect when you graduate, I assure you. People think we're freaking wingnuts. They do. It's God's honest truth. I mean, it's a matter. See, we're in a place right now where we can share some of the inside crap, so when we go out there, we're prepared, we're rocking it, right? So we're like literally walking in a total spirit of excellence. It's one of the things that I love the most about what we do, okay? So then we've addressed some real topics, so when we go out, we're not surprised. And be like, oh, you don't want what I have? But I'm pretty. I'm doing really well. I just got the degree. Like $200,000 in debt to show it. You know what I mean? All those sort of things. That doesn't really, they don't really care about that. You know what I mean? But you can transcend that based upon your preparation, your conviction for what you stand for, and the excellence in which you walk in. Does that make sense? You guys tracking with me? Because that's the difference. That's like the perfect storm, right? Because a confused consumer does not buy. So if you come out and you're confused, guess what your message is going to be? Confused. Guess what you're going to attract? Confusion, right? Guess what you're going to get? No commitment. No growth, no expansion. Who wants to be the cornerstone of health in their community? Right, right, absolutely, absolutely, right? Even if you got some faces back there look like you guys are sucking on lemons, because like, but you know what I mean? But you want to be the cornerstone of your community. You didn't come out to be some second-rate referral doctor, did you? No, you can totally refer, and you can build professional relationships with other healthcare providers. Totally get that, right? You're a primary care physician, right? You're a port of entry, and in my state I am. You need to walk in it. So when people say to me, they're like, well, you know, I didn't come in because blah, 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 blah. I was like, why not? It's something that we care for. We care about performance, about your body responding and healing, adapting, and advancing. So what we specialize in. We're the source doctors, right? We're going right to the cause and correcting at the source so the body can heal and recover with time and repetition, advancing and performing the way it's created to. So, you know what made me kind of feel cool the other day? You know what made me kind of feel cool? I was walking by the mirror. No, that wasn't it. But what was the kind of thing that made me feel cool was that I had a family that their daughter woke up screaming in the middle of the night, right, saying, my neck hurts, my neck hurts, my neck hurts. And they like try to comfort her. They get her to go back to bed on the couch with them. They go to pick her up, carry her to the bed. And she wakes up screaming. Screaming, I'm in pain, I'm in pain, I'm in pain. Mom and Dad load the child up in the car and are going where? I wish. They're in the hospital.
Wow.
But guess what? All of a sudden it clicked. They said, wait a second, what are we doing? Like, should we call Dr. Michael first? I'm getting goosebumps thinking about it. Should we call Dr. Michael first? Like, well, it's late. But he tells us to call him if he needs anything. If we need anything. So they call. They call. I answer a couple questions. I see the child the next morning. The child's fine. Right? And you know what that did? That built even a higher level of value, a higher level of trust. Right? And then they relied upon me as an answer for their child's health. I thought that was so cool. That was so cool. There was no, well, you know, it's very cute, you know, blah, 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 blah. I'm going to refer you. Yeah, go to. You would be shocked. Does people go to, any of you guys go to the hospital very often? Like, if you get a fever, you run to the hospital. I mean, if you know what I mean? It's just weird to us. It's like, man, no wonder why we have such debt and healthcare financial crisis in our country. People literally will have, like, I don't know. I mean, this girl got a concussion. I mean, I played ice hockey. Concussions were like Skittles, man. I mean, it's just like, yeah, you have plethora of them. You know, it's like, dude, it's a concussion. It's like, cool. Can you wake him up every 30 minutes? Sure. Can you make sure that he's responding and eating food and can drink water, he's not throwing up constantly? Yeah, he's fine. That's like what that's what they used to tell my mom and dad all the time. So it's like, you know, you went to the hospital for a couple and you're over. Well, this girl, you know, the kid bumps his head, kid cries, maybe he has a concussion, I don't know, he bumped his head. They go to the ER. It's like, why do you go to the ER? Kid bumped his head, kids bump their heads. Kid's not bleeding, eyes not turning black, you know what I mean? It's like, they go to the ER. Oh, they said that he probably has a concussion. No shit! You know what I mean? It's like, are you serious? I'm sorry, I shouldn't cuss. They say people that cuss, there's a statistical study, the people that cuss are more trustworthy. So shit. So we're more trustworthy. I'm just more trustworthy than you because you guys aren't cussing. So listen, it's like, man, that's their default. Go to the hospital. So a mom comes in with their baby and she goes, oh, she can't get adjusted. I got to take her to the hospital. She's got a fever. Why the heck? A fever is an indication that she's what? Compromised, right? Why would you take an immunocompromised child to a house of sick people? Right? Do you have the authority in your life to walk in that and convictions to say that to a mother when I'm not a father yet? Right? They'll look at you try to discredit you. I'm like, listen, Mom, what's a fever for? I'll tell you. The body's heating up to kill something off that has invaded it. Something that cannot exist or survive in a temperature increase to that level. What do we do in America? Take something, right, to lower the fever, and then we have to take something to what? Kill the bug for the body. What have we sidestepped? Come on, guys. What have we sidestepped? The body's natural ability to create resistance and immunity to that bug. What will we have to face down the road now as a result? Yeah, we'll have to face that bug again down the road because we haven't built any immunity, and we will fall victim to it again. What makes more sense, Mom? Allow the body to heal and fight this thing the way that it's intended to. That fever is a natural, very cool response mechanism of the body to fight it for itself. We will check that child for nerve interference, make sure that we boost that child's immunity through principle-specific scientific chiropractic care, allow the body to heal and recover faster through natural care. And now guess what? That child will have an increased level of immunity, will never have to face that bug again, and you're going to feel like a rock star mom. You have to walk in those convictions. Let's talk about cash practice. Dude, I don't really care about talking about cash practice. But everyone wants it. Most people want to have a cash practice, right? And most people don't want to say, you know what, I want to be told by an insurance company as to what I can charge for, what I can bill for, what I can get reimbursed for. Do you guys want to be told that by an insurance company? Raise your hand if you want that. Did you go to school all this time to become like a medical doctor that is literally a servant to the pharmaceutical industry? Did you? Because no, they're biddies, right? Like you're the medical doctor's the biddy ho of the freaking pharmaceutical industry. I didn't go to school to be a video. I went to school to be a chiropractor, right? So anyway, so that's, you know, I mean, I have friends that are medical doctors. We actually care for a lot of medical doctors in our office. We're very unique in that respect. You come to our office, we have radiologists under care, we have osteopaths under care, we have MDs, primary care practitioners under care, I have a neurologist under care, I have physical therapists under care, a massage therapist, even though they're losers. I have, we have occupational therapists, we have visual therapists. We just started an obstetrician under care from Evergreen. We have a lot of healthcare providers. Why? Because we're very, very clear and specific as to what we do, and we do not cross ethical boundaries. I do what we do, they do what they do. Would it be confusing to you if you walked into a chiropractor's, excuse me, let me say it this way. Would it be confusing to you if you walked into an obstetrician's office and they're adjusting? Would that be confusing? You'd be like, what the hell? Right? You'd be like, what is that? You can't do that. Do you think it's clear and do you think it makes sense as to why they would walk into our office and we may be doing like cold laser, dry needle, or I don't know, give me some others. I'm doing detox, physical therapy, detox, PT. You know what I mean? Do you think that could be confusing to them? You guys don't think that would be confusing to them? No, that's okay if you don't, because I mean there's different philosophies. But I'll tell you this: I have friends that are PTs that hate us because we do PT in our clinics because we took a few classes in school. When they've spent their life study on how to become an expert in physical therapy, right? So do we get pissed when a PT takes a weekend seminar certification on manipulation? Do we think yeah, right, thanks, bud. That makes us feel like they don't know what we know? Do you see the perspective that I'm coming from? So that's frustrating for me. So I have a registered dietetics degree, though I'm not registered in the state of Colorado because I do not bill for it. I have a degree in registered dietetics, or Bachelor of Science in Dietetics, right? It frustrates me when people do nutrition in their offices after taking a couple classes at Life University. I do not know what you guys take, so I don't want to speak to your educational process. We take 2 nutrition classes. Did you respect, Rick, the nutrition instructors at Life University? No, I mean, and I won't go into the reasons why, but it was like, they were a joke. They were the class you had to skip and go get more adjustments in clinic for, right? But yet we do nutrition because maybe like a practice manager tells you to, or you hit these quotas because you bought into this multi-level marketing group, or different things that you're pushing. There's this chiropractor who's like, man, I'm just pure chiropractic, I love freaking chiropractic, blah, blah. He's a big torque release kind of chiropractor. He's not like he doesn't see a ton of people or anything, but the other day I saw in his office, he had this big stand in his office in the background for Juice Plus. The freaking multi-level marketing group. You can spend $300, right, and get certified to sell Juice Plus anywhere. On the back trunk of your car, at church, I mean, wherever you want to go, you could do it for $300. And I think to myself, I'm like, man, you worked so hard for so many years in school, and you sacrificed and spent so much money, and literally heartache and stress and all this sort of stuff and victory to be a chiropractor, and you're wasting your freaking time talking about Juice Plus. You're more valuable than that. You're more needed than that, in my opinion. There's plenty of people pushing Juice Plus. And in fact, Juice Plus may be a more common thing for people's lives than chiropractic care, unfortunately. But if we believe, how often do you guys get adjusted right now? Thank you, brother. Man, I'm going to kiss you on the lips. And so, and not just because you're tall, dark, and handsome. But I mean, here's the deal. That's exactly right. I'd love to get adjusted once a day, right? For the average American, that could be very, very costly, right? Right? I mean, it'd be very difficult for the average American to afford. So say like even if you said once a week, okay? So once a week, say it's $40. There are some people say they charge 30, there are some people say that they charge 50. It's all demographics and different things like that. I mean, you try to charge $60 a visit in certain rural towns in Ohio, it's going to be difficult for those people to be able to pursue care in your office. You're in Manhattan, there's a totally different ballgame, right? There's different demographics, okay? So it's hard to say what's the value of the adjustment. There's demographical limitations. We're not talking about domestically versus internationally, right? So say it's $40 a visit. And mom back here said they have 3 children, 2 adults, that's 5 people at $40 an adjustment. That's $200 a week if they all were seeing a chiropractor once a week. Times 4 weeks in a month, that's $800 a month for chiropractic care. Do you think that's realistic for most families? No, not my family, where I grew up in Maine, not in our family. I mean, maybe some of you guys, some of you rich, I see some of you well, there's a Jewish princess over here. That's why Eric's actually broke, because Dana. But no, actually, Eric's rich because of Dana. Because she's like, well, they're paying for their care, right? So $800 a month is a lot of money, no? For most families. Randy, could your family have done that growing up? No, not yet. Right? But I mean, we want people to, so you have to find ways to create value in chiropractic, but make it affordable and convenient at the same time. Don't give chiropractic away because it's way more valuable than that, but to create value where it's affordable and convenient for families to get into chiropractic care. Because they need it. Boy, I hate this. We have multiple families in our office. Somehow, somebody's chosen to almost scholarship the entire family. So, like, the grandparents come in, they're like, we're doing this, but we want to pay for our kids and their kids to be under care. So family plans for everybody in their family. I mean, you're like $10,000, $12,000, and they're like, I'm doing it. And I'm always thinking to myself, man, what an unbelievable gift. What an unbelievable gift. I only got 2 or 3 families that have done this, but what an unbelievable gift. You know what pisses me off, though? and I take the liberty to actually hold them accountable for it, is when certain family members underneath that covering don't come in for their care. You know why? Because they don't value it, because they didn't pay for it. They didn't sacrifice for it. They didn't see it leave their checking account. Follow me? So when I go to them and I say, listen, I say, your grandparents, they paid for this care. It cost them a lot of money and a lot of years of sacrifice in order to be able to afford that for you. So it's imperative that you come in. You know why? Because we have people that come in that absolutely need the care and totally desire it, can't afford to pursue it. And I have to turn them away to stay in integrity. So it's important for you, because your grandparents have blessed you, to make sure that you're in here every single visit and that you get your chiropractic corrective care visits so you can reach your health goals and bless them back for their sacrifice. I have no problem freaking telling them that. Why? Because it's my damn office, right? It is my office. It's your office. So it's a great thing to say to somebody when they're in there. Just literally, I'm thinking about putting it up, but I think we should put it up. But there's a saying, and I've got to go to my phone to get the exact quote, so don't quote me on the quote. I believe it's a Zig Ziglar quote that says, you can't openly, oh gosh, I'm just forgetting it. You can't openly expect something to happen while secretly believing it won't, right? You can't openly expect something to happen while secretly believing it won't. You can't openly expect to become a chiropractor while secretly believing that you can't, right? And so that was one of my faults, right? So like as a practice member, as a patient in your office, they're like coming in for chiropractic care, right? And they're like openly like coming for it, but every time they're in there, they're hating on it. They're like, well, last time you adjusted me, I was a little bit sore. This freaking guy the other day. Phenomenal results under care in our office. Phenomenal results under care in our office. Gets a reassessment through our neurological evaluation process that we use in our office. And it's like all blown out in the beginning. I mean, looks amazing over here on the side. It's like a freaking Jenny Craig commercial, man. It's like chubs, pale, baggy clothes over here. Over here, spray tan, look like Brower, like freaking flexed out in a Speedo, right? And you're like, wait, how can you compare those? You know what I mean? It's like when you see these postural corrective techniques. The only reason that I cringe about doing that properly versus not properly is that, like, and my CBP man back here, Rick, will attest this. You have somebody that takes a pre-X-ray, right, and they're like this, and they're like, look at the loss of curve, right, and then they take the post-X-ray and they're standing like this, and they're like this. You follow me? Right? It's like you need to make sure that it's apples for apples. You need to make sure that posture is congruent, neutral's neutral for both those films. So that here in flexion, right? Flexion, that the curve is gone on the pre, and then post or an extension, the curve is like, yeah, and you're like, look at me, I'm freaking awesome, right? No, you got to make sure that it's apples for apples. You guys following me? And so, I forgot the point of where I was going with that. Okay. Yeah, so he's griping, so he's doing great, like pre-post, like Jenny Craig, right? And so then it's like, dude, he's like on our reassessments. You live in a symptom-based world. That's a fact. But we want to take them from focusing on the symptoms to focusing on function, right, and performance, right? Where I talk to them about, I'm going to give you a little educational thing about that process in the room. That's like just a minute or so that you can teach somebody something. So they can we list on their reassessments everything that they said they came in for, all their symptoms, and alongside of it, it says worse, same, mild, much improvement, or totally healed. They can circle that. I'm going to quantify it with objective data. They can quantify it with subjective data, okay? So they'll circle it. And then there's a down here where they can add additional comments as to what they've observed in terms of healing under care. So you see some really cool things over here, like I have longer erections, I last longer in bed, I see all these sort of things, I sleep better afterwards, my wife cleans the house after sex. It's like all this sort of stuff. I'm like, man, that's chiropractic care every time. Time of repetition, that's what happens. Pretty cool. And so that's what I said. So anyway, so they're going to rate all that. So he rates like totally healed for all this stuff, right? Been under care with me for like 3 months, right? It's awesome, right? You think it's great? Think you're going to get the credit? No. Yeah. I said, man, that's awesome. So pleased with this. But you still have some improvement here. Now, if you stopped in this phase of care, there's a very strong possibility after you put your body under a little bit of stress, without the care, it's going to revert back to where it was. Okay? We're not a symptom relief facility. We are a corrective care facility. So what we're going to do is, as we maintain you in this phase of care, reducing your neurological interference, increasing your performance, symptoms will decrease, and health will increase. And it'll last when you put your body under stress. He's like, yeah, oh yeah, I'm totally gonna, no, man, I'm in it for the long haul. He goes, and I'm glad, yeah, it's good, but we just also bought a mattress, and so that mattress, man, And I said, yeah, because right before that I said, so aren't you so glad that you've committed your life to Principal Chiropractic Care? He goes, yeah, but we also got a mattress. Dude, I'm telling you what, I've had medical doctors that have been cured from insomnia to erectile dysfunction. Medical doctors, right? And I'm telling you what, they get it, but you have other people that have cured from much or healed from much lesser things or maybe bigger things. And they'll say to you, you'll adjust them, and for the first time in their life, they slept through the night after that adjustment. And they'll say it's because they iced after the adjustment when they went home. You follow me? But you could adjust them, and 3 weeks later, they could bounce a check, and they'll blame you because that adjustment went wrong, right? They'll be like, man, the other day you adjusted me, and 3 weeks later, I was in the red in my bank account, and I got an insufficient funds fee, and I was thinking it was because you adjust me on this side where you typically adjust me on that side. What do you think? And I'd be like, I think you're freaking crazy, and I'm taking crazy pills in this office right now. I think you're having a whack attack, lady. But they say this stuff to you. So how do you overcome that, right? How do you overcome that? And so you need to bring them back to the principal and educational process. One thing that we explained in the office is, like, I had a guy the other day that wanted to stop care because he had paid in full for his care. This guy's low back looks like junk. It's just disgusting. So that's why x-rays to me are very, very important. Even though I don't adjust off x-rays, I think x-rays are very, very important because you can make a recommendation. I can make a recommendation to you based on you. You're young, you're in great shape, you're pretty, you're Asian in some capacity, you're kind of white, but you're not. And so she could just have some minor symptoms. And then I take a picture of her structure, and you'd be floored as to what you see sometimes. And you'd be like, crap, if I was going to make my recommendations just based upon how she feels and how she looks and a little bit of her history and the severity of her symptoms, I would have totally missed the mark. And I would have set up false expectations for her. And when I fell short of those expectations, it would have ruined chiropractic for her because she would have said, I what? Tried chiropractic and it didn't work, right? So for me to be able to see the structure and have more certainty as to what I'm looking at so I can make more accurate recommendations and better and more realistic expectations for her, we will see better results and we will see better value for chiropractic. That's my opinion, okay? Because I'll tell you what, man, you could have this big fat slob come in and like all these symptoms, you look at the structure, you're like, oh crap, it almost looks perfect, right? You know what I mean? You're like, oh my gosh, I would never guess that. And then you have this petite, like, yoga instructor, and she's, like, in there. She's like, yeah, she's, like, doing the downward dog during doctor's report and all this crap. And then you look at the pictures, and you're like, right? And you're like, holy crap. She's got 9 lumbars. You know what I mean? And one of them is upside down. How the hell? You know what I mean? Like, I still fix that through torque release technique. So my point is this, is that you want to set up very realistic expectations. Well, this guy's low back was junk. So I'm going to give you a little nugget that we utilize in our practice to educate. So I said, he goes, man, I just don't feel like I'm getting any better, right? So I'm going to stop care. I'm going to try something else. I said, well, Mr. Steve, that's sort of the problem with why you're not getting better, is that you're just trying things. I spoke with you from the beginning that you need to commit to chiropractic corrective care. See, sorry to be boring you, Dana. See, when you came in, for over 15 years, and I've got his x-ray up on the screen right now because we're all digital, right? Like you can see everything just by pushing a button on our computer. When you came in, for over 15 years, your structure was like this when it should have been like this. So through that misalignment, that uneven wear and tear, you're putting pressure on those nerves, causing irritation and inflammation of those nerves, leading to aches, pains, and dysfunction. You come in, we correct it, you go back out the door and it goes back. We correct it, it goes back. Correct it, it goes back, right? With enough time repetition, we correct it and it stays a little bit longer and then it goes back. We correct it and it stays a little bit longer and a little bit longer and then it goes back. See, through this process, in the beginning, we're not really giving the associated tissues and structures that have been irritated for all this time an opportunity to heal. But what we are doing is with time and repetition, creating stability. And the longer we can have stability in the right position, that's when that irritated tissue will heal. And that's when symptoms decrease and performance increases. So don't stop now. See it to the finish. Because I will not allow you to say that you've tried chiropractic and did not work. So he stayed committed to care. Brought him back up front. I said, girls, Steve is going to get adjusted today, and then I'm going to see him again on Thursday. Because my girls say, Steve's quitting care. We need to audit his account. I'm like, whoa! He's not quitting care. He's not quitting care. Because I've already spent that damn money. I'm just kidding. I didn't say that. Cole Hans, I spent that stuff. No, I'm just kidding. I said, no. He's not quitting care. We need to re-educate him and reaffirm in him of what he already believed when he started care, and he paid us that $2,000, right? That is a huge nugget for you guys to stay with your heels dug in and believe. Believe chiropractic works regardless of your belief. But I'll tell you what, your convictions is where you get other people to believe in you. And at the end of the day, they have to believe in you. They're buying you, right? If they don't like you, they're going to move on down the street no matter what you're saying. So you have to build that relationship based upon trust. That's why my wife is so good in the practice. It's because she builds relationships based upon trust. That's what it all is. If you remember when I started, I said, it's not like they just plop babies in your lap and say, yeah, happy to raise my baby. It's not like that. No, there's no symptoms. I just want to make a good check so girls, we raise a healthy generation for years to come. They don't say that, right? That's what we say. That's our language. That's not the public's language. You need to speak their language. You need to be dynamic. You need to connect through visual, auditory, and kinesthetic touch points. That's how people learn, right? That's why I dance and I move and I look cool. And I don't look cool. I'm just kidding. Don't freaking agree with me. He's like, you don't. You look cool at all. That's not right. So you need to be able to be dynamic with them. You follow me? So here's the thing. You create bobbleheads, not to demean them. You create bobbleheads of agreement, right? That they're like, yes, doctor, yes, doctor, yes, doctor. So that you can become the cornerstone of health in your community. And you can build a respectable business where people come to you and they ask for things like sponsorships for the farmers markets, sponsorships for their street festivals, sponsorships for their high school football teams. Because they know that you're a successful business and you're going to say what? Yes. Yes, because you want to support and you want you to be associated with everything good about your community. Everything good. Isn't that awesome? Isn't that what you want? That's what you want. You don't want to be the guy in the back alley with this practice that's got, blue carpet and yellow walls and fake ficuses and sliding reception windows. Does anyone want that? Tomorrow morning I'm going to show pictures of my practice. And it'll blow your mind what our practices look like. That you say, I've never been in a chiropractic office like this. People come in all the time and they're like, man, is this a franchise? And I said, no, I own it. It's me. It's a one-man show. And they're like, I've never seen this in my life. Why? Because we learned to divide the front of the office from the back of the office, walk in total professionalism and excellence at all times, fully representing who we are. So we got concrete floors, right? We got exposed rafters. We've got reclaimed barnwood throughout, reclaimed timber beams, right? We got reclaimed rusted metals. We got three-sided glass to see panoramic views of the mountains in Colorado, all right out of school. I mean, it's epic. So I'm back there adjusting, and this is while being on the two largest non-highway roads in the entire state of Colorado. West Colfax is the largest non-highway road in the entire country. And I'm at the intersection of the two, while sitting on the intersection of the two biggest interstates in the state of Colorado, where you can see us from the highway in any direction that you're going. We're over 250,000 cars pass by our building every single day. But I don't get walk-ins. Randomly, I'll get walk-ins. We get referrals, okay? But you can't get referrals until you put butts in the seats. And that takes communication like Dr. Brower was talking about and Dr. Hess was talking about and I'm talking about. How you communicate with the public to create value relationships built upon trust. You guys tracking with me? Because, if you're not going to be insurance-based, guess what you're not going to get? Just putting your feet up, the shingle on the wall saying, call me doctor. And people are just going to start strolling in for referrals from networks. Even if you're in a network, I've never gotten a referral. I'm in network with network. Never get referrals from networks. It's not like that. Unfortunately, and you have to wrap your mind around this, that you're an entrepreneur, right? You control your destiny in chiropractic. And it starts while you're in school. Does that make sense, guys? So when you go out, you can do what is my why in life. My why is to contribute to a greater cause of myself. People were like, and Rick was saying, he's like, man, you guys are all over the place, man. You're starting this movement. And it really blessed me that he sees that. Because I could be a lot more financially successful right now by not being a launch tour. because I'd be solely focused on my practice, spurring that thing. It's a 7-figure practice. If you don't know what 7 figures is, it's $1 million, right? And we just celebrated our 2nd-year anniversary last week, right? These are $1 million practices. Dr. Jeremy's been a $1 million practice for over 10 years, 8 years. I mean, it's unbelievable. You know what compounding income is like? I mean, this guy's like, yeah, what are you know, burying money in shoeboxes in his yard. Because, I mean, it's like, you know, and I'm not saying that to sound ignorant, but I mean, he's diversified himself so well because chiropractic has provided such a wonderful life for him and his family by serving people. Serving people. You provide a service, you get a reward for that. There is, right? And the reward you kind of control. You know what I mean, guys? And so 7-figure practice built on contributing to a cause greater than ourselves. So me being out here, you guys are a cause greater than myself. Because if we can create critical mass of young, professional people that walk with a spirit of excellence at all times, chiropractors, representing each other properly, not freaking slapping each other around like the sandbox and all that crap. Who's in the chiropractic sandbox? Be honest. On Facebook? Nobody? You are? You're a sinner. No, I'm just kidding. I'm just teasing, but I mean, it's like you get in there, you get. I'm glad you're not. Don't, because it's you got to protect your mind. I assure you that you get in there and you find out that chiropractors are dirty, cussing, posting pornography, and saying negative things about one another. It's negative. It's negative. And when you're in school, you need to protect your mind. You need to stay focused on your vision and your goal. Surround yourself with people that support that and edify your life and make you believe that you can do it, and you'll do it, I assure you. But there's a saying in the Bible that says God will order your steps. Has anyone ever heard that before? I mean, I don't know if you heard that. God will order your steps, like lead your path, lead your direction, right? God will do that. But you need to move your feet, right? You need to move your freaking feet. You need to be willing to dig them in, work hard, prepare, and deliver. And that's what we are all about. We're working to rally troops around the nation of young students that believe what we truly represent, and that is an answer for people's health through natural, specific, scientific chiropractic care. So get prepared, get clarity, get certainty, get around some people that support you, get fired up for your future, kick some butt together. I tell you what will create critical mass. And I really believe that it's in these rooms of young people saying that we're going to do this and creating a movement in their office, in their community, representing chiropractic properly, that we're going to see a change. It's not going to be the dinosaurs in chiropractic. It's not these old men that are going to say, oh, dude, just pay your bills, get out, pay your bills, low overhead, so you can just pay your bills and survive, get through the first year. You're gonna have, who's heard of the period, right? The chiropractic menstrual cycle, right? Called the starvation period, right? Has anyone heard of the starvation period that they talk about? Dude, we're all profitable in our first month. We just launched a practice, meaning that we walked with some of their best friends, Jake Kraut up in Washington State, though he says we don't need to say state because Washington's its own thing. D.C. needs to be, he's like, we're Washington, right? Those guys have broken 300 visits a week in under 2 months in a practice. They've collected in 2 months $99,000 in cash. You know what that allows you to do? That allows you to not worry about the bills and serve more people. Not worry about, shit, am I out of film already? Or is the processor taking a dump on me? Or is like, oh, I got to change those light bulbs? I mean, like, you know, it's like that, oh my gosh, I got to pay that permit. All those sort of things. Oh, my car needs to be registered 2 months after opening practice. Now all of a sudden you're pressing really, really hard, right? You're trying really, really hard to get people to commit. You're squeezing so tight. Do you guys ever see couples retreat when they talk about puppy death syndrome, or when he squeezes the puppy? Like, this is a funny story, but you know, you hold on so tight, you snuff it out, you snuff the life out of it. You don't want to do that. You want to serve freely, not worry about money. So the faster you can just get some things flowing, you can focus on people. Everything takes care of itself. Everything takes care of itself. But you have to have direction in order to do it. $99,000 in his first 2 months in collections, cash. Would anyone like to do that right out of school? So that you can pay back your student loans, you're not worried about them. You're just paying those things back. You're supporting your church, if that's your thing. You're supporting the local sports teams, if that's your thing. You're supporting your chamber of commerce. You're supporting benefits and all those wonderful things. So you don't have to worry about it. You're living a fruitful life, the thing that you guys have set out to do. And it's right there for you. And it's a really freaking cool thing. And I want you to know, 2 years into practice, I mean, I knew in my heart that that would be the case for me because I was devoted to make sure that it manifested. You guys have to have that conviction, that confidence, and know that you're the answer and that you have everything inside you to do it. And get around some people that support you in doing so. Pretty cool? All right, guys. So tomorrow morning, we're going to come back at 8:30, and we're going to do what we consider mastermind. We do this at every school, and this is where tonight was 30,000 feet, right? You're up in the plane, you're looking down, you're seeing everything from above, okay? Tomorrow, we're going to start really breaking it down. We're going to start at 30,000 feet, and then we're going to go and get right down into intricate details. You know, the more questions you can answer in your mind about the upcoming process of transitioning from student to doctor and opening a practice, maybe going into negotiations, whether it's contracts for an associateship or lease negotiations, how you can gather equipment, what equipment, all that sort of stuff. Marketing, budgets, overhead, we're going to break it down from A to Z, okay? It gives you, I believe, one of the reasons we were successful at school is because we had very little uncertainty, very few questions. So when we went out and we opened our practice, Jeremy got questions from me, but not really very many. Where we had people that are asking questions like, bro, that should have been answered a long time ago. But that's okay. Better now than never. You know what I mean? Better late than not. You know, so we answer those questions. So we're going to literally break it down of all the different things that you need in practice, all the different things that could be overhead, all the unexpected, you know, how you can collect equipment now, how do you get funding, all that sort of stuff. We're going to break down all the different tools and things that we've utilized with our friends that are putting them in practice right now all over the country from all different types of schools. So when I took part 4 and people were like from national and then didn't even know what full spine technique was, that the only technique that they took was MOPAL in school. The only technique was MOPAL, and activator was an elective. Guys, I mean, if we want to represent chiropractic, we need to get our act together because they're producing those kinds of chiropractors all day long. And if you love chiropractic like I do, that pisses you off. That pisses you off because when you come out and you have to answer for those idiots in the field, you will, because they group you together. They're like, man, I've been to a chiropractor. They taught me how to adjust myself. So I don't need to go to a chiropractor anymore. Do you think that that's not said all the time? I had a lady come up to our office from Texas, and she wasn't from Texas, so I can still say I love everybody from Texas, but she lived in Texas. So she comes up, and she's staying in a campground next to our practice, and she says, I really need an adjustment. I feel like it's my SI joint or whatever's out. You know, they'll throw certain things like, I love these when they come in, they think they know something, and they're like, oh, it's right here, it's right here. Oh, that axis? They're like, oh, that axis bone. Oh, it's right there, that axis bone. I'm like, yeah, it's the axis bone. You're an idiot. And so it's like, so she says to me, she goes, I just can't get it fixed. She goes, my chiropractor in wherever taught me how to adjust myself so that I never have to go in again. Do you know what that does? Puts you out of business. Freaking makes you unnecessary, right? It's like, I mean, it's unbelievable. It's unbelievable. So those things go on a regular basis. We get grouped into that. We have to answer for that. Rick, do you get embarrassed by the things that you hear that's going out? I mean,
All the time.
I'm all the time. Brian, it's almost like no way somebody told them that. That there's no way a chiropractor could help me. No way. But if you treat back pain, and that person has like a blown out discs and or broken back, it's all fused together, and all you do is treat back pain, then maybe you can't help that person. But we help people's immune function, we help people's digestion, we help people's neurological function from A to Z. And if the nervous system controls and coordinates every other system in the body, how the hell could you not help them? Right? So you are an answer. But you have to answer for everything that everyone else has created as biases or opinions through their experience in other chiropractors. So that's why we need to walk in excellence.
Absolutely. So we're going to have coffee. And
Can I give them a moment just to applaud for me?
Sure.
Good joke, good joke. But seriously, a little more.
Who's coming back tomorrow morning?
It's good, guys. This is where we really break down stuff. This was just like some philosophy stuff. We really break it down.
Another thing we do in the morning is, and you can do question and answer. This is mastermind, so everybody, you write down, pass around sheets of paper, and we'll just start hammering questions.
And there's not a dumb one.
Whatever you want to
There's
ask
not a dumb
on. Whatever you want to ask
My
on.
bench press, my squats. I mean, is Dr. Brower doing butt clinches as I speak right now? Or is these are all questions that are worth being asked. And the answer is yes.
We'll have 8:30. We'll have coffee. We'll have bagels for you guys provided. And who's going to bring some with them tomorrow? No hands?
You should. Because you can't recruit your friends to get on, listen, right, if you can't recruit your friends to get on board with chiropractic, they're in chiropractic school to better their future, how are you going to recruit people from the public that don't give a crap of who you are? Right on? I'm serious. You know, I mean, I knew that I was going to be able to help people in my community because I brought every single person, every friend that I had to things that I believed in would advance their future in their lives, right? And if they didn't come, then it's on them. But do your very best to get as many that you can there. Get them on board.
Yeah, so absolutely.
Continue.
We all know someone probably should have been here tonight. We know someone should have been here tonight. How about that? All right, so challenge is to try to get them to come with you tomorrow morning. We'll be here from 8:30 to 11. Come with. Before you go, is anyone not coming tomorrow morning? Okay. So if you don't know, some of you have schedules ready. Dr. Brian, come on up and just mention, because we're going to, Dr. Brian's going to obviously local here. For you guys go, if you're not going to, we're going to talk about more tomorrow, how you can plug in. Because the point of this is that's like, you know, I mean, you get all spizzed up, you get enthusiastic, I want to plug in, I want to learn more, I want to do these things. You know, hey, listen, I welcome any of you to come to Atlanta anytime you want and hang out in my practice, Colorado. Eric's about 4 hours away. That's definitely a closer distance. Dr. Brian's about an hour or so. We're going to keep the momentum going by being able to actually plug in and learn strategies, and you guys will be absolutely successful, like Dr. Mike was talking about. So, when are you guys going to do that?
So a few months ago, we had a few people come and visit and come to the office and actually see the process. Like you can actually come and see digital X-ray, see the day one room, see how we walk people through it. So we're doing another of those. We're doing July 12th. We're going away for the 4th. We're going to go travel and have some fun. So after that, July 12th, if you guys want to come to our office and basically a brief training, we'll walk you through how to do day one. We'll teach you how to do screenings at the office. We'll just do the basic stuff of chiropractic, and you can actually see it. And a lot of times people just like, when you came to our office, were you surprised?
Yeah.
Different, right? Yeah. It's like high ceilings. It's floor to ceiling windows in the back. It's beautiful. It's on right by the mall. It's amazing plants all throughout it. Like the setup, the flow.
Yeah.
It's not like a crappy office. It's like you walk in and you're just like you guys should be it's amazing.
Yeah.
And people come in and they just feel, and I just would love for you guys to come and hang out and see the place and ask questions and walk through.
It's free too. So I think July 12th is going to kind of show a lot, and then times after that, ongoing every couple weeks, just kind of break it down, chunk it down, so you guys have a better understanding. So, so before you leave tonight, we're going to hang out a little bit.
I'll connect you on Facebook.
But we will do,
group message.
Yeah, we're answering questions tonight. We'll answer stuff, but tomorrow, maybe just bring your questions, and we're going to try to get everything answered. It's going to be awesome. So, but if you want to talk, if you're not being here tomorrow, you want to make sure you get hooked up with Brian. She's drbrian.com before you go.
If you guys could,
Okay.
yeah, if you guys could, do us a favor, okay? As we want to create critical mass, everybody hold up their little smartphone. Hold it up, hold it up, hold it up. Could you guys, who has Facebook account, keep it held up if you have Facebook. All right, cool. Can you guys all, right now before you get up, just take a quote or a takeaway or a nugget or something, get on your Facebook, post it, and tag Launch Tour 2014 or Launch NYCC. Launch NYCC, let's do that one. Launch NYCC, Launch Tour. Just post something like a nugget. Maybe it was Brower doing butt clinches, or you know what I mean, whatever it is. Picture, whatever it is. Post something right now, tag it, send it, so we can create critical mass for people. That what they're like, oh, sometimes what it does, guys, is some people that see that will be like, oh, it's a Friday night, and they're sacrificing. And then, you know what I'm saying? It's like kind of like when you see that your friend was in the gym at like 6 a.m. Or 5 a.m. You're like, man, they're really going after it. It will do that to people. They'll say, well, geez, maybe I need to get my act together a little bit and start moving and shaking. So post something like that.
I would just say, you ever take a test and you're like, I wish I just would have studied that one chapter. I forgot to study that. And, I would say really that's what tomorrow is. As far as when you look at the rest of your life, you're like, you really don't want to do it. You may not want to do it tomorrow. You may have a lot of other things to do, and I get it. But if you come tomorrow, you could learn something that could really affect you for the rest of your life. Definitely your first year in practice, and it's still worth it. It's 10 to 11:30. Breakfast is on us. It's a no-brainer. We hope you bring somebody too.
Yeah, no doubt. No doubt. Friend us on Facebook, guys, if you guys want to stay connected too. Cool. Everybody get something out of this?
Yeah, definitely. 8:30.
I'm sorry, what?
No,
8:30?
8:30, right?
Oh, okay, yeah.
Okay.
Sorry.
No.
Unless you guys want to move it to
8:30. Yeah, I apologize.